Chapter 3254. If the system kept talking to him, Ning Shu couldn't stand it. He was used to being alone. If someone kept talking, he probably wouldn't be used to it. Ning Shu really wasn't used to having someone beside her talking all the time while she was doing missions. He was used to being alone. He wasn't used to having someone else around. The two ended their conversation. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Ning Shu opened the status panel to see if the merit from before had arrived. In the future, he would be able to get merit every time he did a job. He wouldn't have to procrastinate. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27. Level, Super Mission Taker Contribution Card, 247, 10 million points for 1 contribution card. Soul, 33 Health, 30 Wisdom, 41 Luck, 27 Charm, 17 Mental Power, 42 Martial Power, 30 Aptitude, 37 Faith, 25, 000 Merit, 30, 000 Soul Strength, 5 Authorization Ticket, 0 Pure Heart, None Comprehended Law, Water Law Incarnation, Wood Law Incarnation, Space Law Incarnation, Constructed World, Reincarnation World Tools, Calm Halo, Heart Calming Pill, Amulet 4, Upgraded Amulet +2, Faith Bell Honorary Titles, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor Skills, 5th Ring Shooting. Technique, Level Close Combat Technique, Minor Achievement in Peerless Martial Arts, Level Poison Technique, Low-Level Business Management Knowledge, Beginner Code Programming, Beginner Lawyer Skill, Divine Master Ghost Catching Skill, Beginner Cooking Skill, Level Embroidery Skill, Trash Hypnosis Aura, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Sister Model Worker, Chen Shi's Blessing, Leader Aura, Grass Blessing, Best Friend for Life, Meow Meow Meow's Blessing, Life-Saving Hand, Zhu Su's Blessing. Founding Woman, Chen Ermiai's Blessing, Beauty-in-Law, Chen Ning's Blessing, Bane of the Blood Clan, Jasmine's Blessing, Transcending Race Communication, Bai Sanyang's Blessing, Brave Heart, Wang Ying's Blessing, Bloodthirsty Tyrant, Enai Binyan's Blessing, Heart of Peace and Joy, Luck Halo, Faith Halo, Longevity. He had more than 30 million merit points. Previously, his account was poor, but now he had merit points. Therefore, although he had lost a portion of his soul power, he felt that he had suddenly become rich. Ning Shu converted all his merits into merit grains and took them all to the world of samsara to raise skeletons. Zhu Jun was quite happy to receive the merit. He asked again, "Where did this merit come from? Weren't you very poor before?" Ning Shu said, "Yes, I was very poor, but now I have some money." It was just that he was not that poor. Zhu Jun nodded. "That's good. I thought you were in danger." Ning Shu couldn't help but laugh. What danger could there be? While Ning Shu was talking to Zhu Jun, Yi Lin was pacing back and forth not far away. He kept looking in their direction. Zhu Jun said, "Someone over there has been watching us all this time." Ning Shu said, "Let him see." He was probably here to ask about He Qing. Ning Shu couldn't be bothered with him. After he finished talking to Zhu Jun, he directly teleported away from this world. When Yi Lin looked in that direction again, they were already gone. He couldn't help but sigh. What did she do to He Qing? Did He Qing disappear from this world because she killed her, or something else? Ning Shu returned to the system space and exchanged some fasting pills and medicine. He planned to do a mission. Ning Shu said to the system, "I'm going to do a mission now." The system said, "I'll arrange it for you. What kind of mission do you want to do?" Ning Shu said, "Anything is fine." The system selected the mission and sent Ning Shu to the world of samsara. He hadn't done a mission for a long time, so he wasn't used to the feeling of weightlessness. When he felt that he had merged into a body, the first thing he felt was smell. Ning Shu felt a stench, with a sense of dampness and stuffiness. Ning Shu opened his eyes. This seemed to be a basement. There was a small window, and a weak light passed through the window. The window was so small that even a person couldn't pass through it. Ning Shu sat up and suddenly felt uncomfortable in his stomach. There was something moving in his stomach. She lowered her head and saw that her stomach was bulging. It seemed that she was not young anymore, probably in July or August. Ning Shu was speechless. This was the first time he was a pregnant woman, and a locked one at that. In this small basement, There was a bed, a convenient toilet bowl, a small light bulb, and a staircase leading to the surface. Ning Shu moved his body. There was a chain fastened to his feet. This chain was very long, thick, and long, enough for him to move freely in this basement. Ning Shu climbed up the stairs. His face was covered by a thick wooden board. He pushed hard, but the board didn't budge. It seemed to be locked up. He was locked up. Ning Shu returned to the basement. The air in the basement didn't circulate, so the smell of excrement couldn't spread. It smelled bad. The blanket was also damp and smelled a little. Ning Shu searched everywhere but didn't find anything to defend himself. Other than a bed and a toilet bowl, there was nothing. He felt his stomach being kicked. The child in his stomach was rolling. His stomach was falling. Ning Shu was speechless. This feeling was really strange. Ning Shu felt uncomfortable sitting or standing. His legs were swollen and painful. It was really fucking hard. Ning Shu wanted to lie down, but the blanket was so dirty that its original color couldn't be seen. He really didn't have the courage to lie down. Ning Shu supported himself against the wall and began to read the plot. However, the plot was slightly different from what Ning Shu had imagined. He thought that it was a plot about a woman who was sold to give birth to children. The actual plot was even more shocking. The client was only 19 years old. In reality, he was a child who had been locked up for nearly 4 years. He was locked up when he was 15 years old. When the client was locked up, he was just a newborn. He was brought home by the school bus driver and locked up for more than 10 years. During that time, he gave birth to a child. The school bus driver looked like an honest man. No one would have thought that there was a girl locked up in the basement, and no one had discovered it for so many years. And the school bus driver still went to work every day for more than 10 years without stopping. How good was his mental fortitude? And he gave others the impression that he was an honest and good person. How did he find out later? It was a 7 or 8-year-old child who was sick. The client begged the school bus driver to treat the child. Later, he was discovered by a neighbor. He thought that the school bus driver might have kidnapped the child and called the police. In the end, the client was found locked up in the basement. The client was rescued. Being rescued was really a relief, but it wasn't. This incident caused a huge sensation and caused a huge reaction in society. Translator, Lon_editor, Ephidacia. Chapter 3255. As a woman who had been locked up for more than 10 years, she was almost 30 years old and even gave birth to a child. Of course, it attracted a lot of attention. As a woman who had not been in contact with the outside world for more than 10 years, the media came to interview her. Her life in prison was miserable, but her life outside was not as good as she imagined. Moreover, for a child, the basement was all the child had. Obviously, the child lived in the basement since he was young and did not know what the outside world was like. He did not train his mind either. The outside world made the child feel at a loss. He was not used to bright rooms and liked to hide in dark closets. He did not know what the world outside the basement was like. The client was also under a lot of pressure from the public's concern. The media wanted to interview her. In the end, the client agreed to do the interview, but after the interview, she committed suicide. As for the school bus driver, such a bad behavior naturally had to be punished by the law. The biggest problem now was that there was a child in her stomach. What a fucking scam. If the school bus driver was to be punished, this incident would have to be exposed. Once it was exposed, the public would pay attention to it. Although the attention would only be for a month or a few days less, but more than 10 years of imprisonment, imprisoning a newborn as a captive. It was shocking. The client committed suicide in the end, but she still wanted to counterattack. The system said, the client was unwilling to be tortured for so many years in the narrow basement, waiting in fear for the honest man's torture every day. And she won't be coming back. Ning Shu was speechless. Since she won't be coming back, why not adjust the time? Now that she has a child in her stomach, what do you think we should do with the child? Was it solved? The system said. You deal with this. Ning Shu said. Ask the child's mother what to do with the child. She won't be coming back. I've left this body, yes, this body, but what about the child? Ning Shu did not have the heart to say that the client was a little stupid. Since it was a counterattack, then the timing should be better. Since she had already contributed her soul energy, why not choose before the incident happened? Or perhaps when it just happened, she could still be saved. After the counterattack, she could still have a good life. She had wasted her soul energy. Being locked up like an animal for more than 10 years had already dulled the brain of the person who had entrusted him with the mission. Eating, drinking, and defecating in the same house, he was an animal, living like an animal. Even giving birth to a child in such a dirty place would make it especially easy to get infected after giving birth. In reality, the client's body was already at the end of its life. The system replied, "Do whatever you want." Ning Shu asked, "What the hell?" The client said, "She doesn't want to care about this child. Her father is a devil." Ning Shu, "Fuck, this is really a moral problem for me. If he could get rid of this child, it would be a life. But after all, it was a child born in captivity. What could he do? And if the client doesn't come back, what will happen to the child in the future?" After a while, the system replied, "You can give birth to the child. If the entrusting party has a family, the child can be entrusted to the family." Ning Shu, "Do you think the client's family will accept this child?" This child's father had imprisoned his daughter. She had that man's blood running through her veins. Would the client's parents be able to accept it? Furthermore, this child would definitely be discriminated against. What a headache. The system said, "They probably won't accept it, but they will still give her food to eat and let her grow up. That's enough." Sometimes, birth is the original sin. There's no right or wrong. Ning Shu shrugged and did not say anything. The child in her stomach kept kicking her and moving around as if it was constantly rolling. Every time it moved, Ning Shu felt like her stomach was going to burst. As for after the client's suicide, this child's life was probably not good. She might not be able to survive because she had lived in the basement for a few years. Her personality was also very strange. The child did not feel that there was anything wrong with living in the basement. Instead, she was fearless and fearful of the new environment. Under such circumstances, the child might do something crazy. She might cry, scream, or have an emotional breakdown. The child might fall sick and not live for long. Ning Shu really had a headache. Her stomach was also uncomfortable. As an unmarried girl, she had a miscarriage before, and now she was pregnant. Her life was really rich. Ning Shu rubbed her stomach. Her stomach was bulging. She was really hungry. After standing for a while, she felt uncomfortable. She felt that all the blood had gathered in her legs. Her head was dizzy and her blood did not seem to be circulating. Maybe the air in the basement was not circulating. The windows were closed. The passageway in the basement was covered with wooden planks. Air was not circulating at all. It was very uncomfortable. Ning Shu sat on the bed. She did not know if she should lie down or sit down. Her head was hurting. In such an environment, it was not easy for this child to be born healthy. She was eating something that was not nutritious. A school bus driver did not have a high salary. If the client did not come back, she could do whatever she wanted. The client had been imprisoned for so long. It was not easy for her not to be masochistic. If the school bus driver was a little nicer to the client, giving her a slap and a carrot, the client would not be so resistant and painful. How could she stand it if she was always in pain and was not given any benefits? Ning Shu sat on the bed and leaned against the wall, waiting for the school bus driver to come back. She was really hungry. There was not even a bit of water in the basement. Ning Shu's head was groggy. She closed her eyes and slept for a while. She vaguely heard the sound of the door being unlocked and footsteps. At the same time, a gust of fresh air rushed in. Ning Shu's spirit was slightly lifted. She looked at the stairs and saw a man coming in. This man was wearing plain clothes. He had a simple and honest face. He looked like a good man. His appearance was also very ordinary. It was the kind of ordinary appearance that did not attract any attention. He looked to be 35 or 36 years old. He looked at Ning Shu's stomach and reached out to touch it. Ning Shu's stomach shrunk back. The man's face suddenly became ugly. It was a little ferocious. "So what if you are amazing? You are still giving birth to my child. The young girl was fresh and bright. She was wearing a school doctor's uniform and looked very good. Being surrounded by this kind of child made her feel very comfortable. She was chosen because this girl was bright and happy. She always played with her friends and let out a crisp laughter. The whole school bus was filled with a happy atmosphere. Translator, Lonely Tree Editor, Millman 97. Chapter 3256. These children wouldn't care about a school bus driver. They laughed as if there was no one else around. Ning Shu said directly, "I'm hungry. I want to eat something." A man like this couldn't tolerate rejection and failure. He was even more afraid of being rejected and discriminated against by women and doing crazy things. The man snorted. In the end, he made Ning Shu food. It was a bowl of noodles. Ning Shu didn't stand on ceremony. He picked up the bowl and ate. It didn't taste good at all. It was white water with a little oil and salt. There was no fried egg, not even a small green vegetable. Ning Shu said, "I'm pregnant. I need to eat something nutritious. Make it again. Fry an egg for me and add 2 small green vegetables. The child in my stomach has been noisy. It's probably because of insufficient nutrition." Ning Shu put down the tasteless water and said to the man. Wang Tiandong saw Ning Shu like this and didn't say anything. He took the bowl out again and locked the wooden board. Ning Shu didn't say anything. He sat on the bed and waited for the noodles to be served again. Not long after, Wang Tiandong made the noodles again. There were 2 fried eggs, a few small green vegetables, and a few pieces of shallots. Ning Shu raised his chin slightly and took the bowl. He took a bite and looked at Wang Tiandong. Wang Tiandong also looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't say anything and continued to eat. Obviously, the taste of the food was much better this time. Before, he was just casually eating. Ning Shu finished the bowl of noodles and said to Wang Tiandong, "These quilts are dirty. Change them for me. Also, clean this place for me. It's too dirty." Wang Tiandong glanced at Ning Shu. Seeing that she didn't make a fuss like before, he also put away the bowls and chopsticks and cleaned the basement. He changed all the quilts and tires and cleaned the basement. Ning Shu stood aside and raised his chin to watch Wang Tiandong clean. Wang Tiandong saw Ning Shu's arrogant look and didn't know what to say. Was it only right for her to make a request to him? Ning Shu's legs hurt from standing. He sat on the bed, changed the quilt cover, and felt much more comfortable. He said to Wang Tiandong, "Thank you for your trouble. I'm going to sleep." Wang Tiandong saw that Ning Shu had fallen asleep with his back facing him. For a moment he was somewhat baffled. Why did he feel that this person was a little different? Wang Tiandong walked to the bedside and lifted the blanket. Ning Shu turned to look at him. "I'm not feeling well, so open the window a little. I'll die from lack of oxygen. It's not like I can run out of the window." She was ugly and poor, yet she was trying to imitate a domineering Xiu. Wang Tiandong said, "I'm not going to do anything to you. I'm just sleeping here." "Sleep my ass. Get lost." Ning Shu said, "The bed is small. It's uncomfortable if you squeeze me. Most importantly, you're squeezing my stomach." Ning Shu's expression was distant and arrogant, which made Wang Tiandong's heart stifled. The feeling of inferiority emerged again. He unconsciously wanted to please the woman in bed. Although he was imprisoned by him, facing Ning Shu's appearance, the feeling of inferiority emerged again. Wang Tiandong said, "Then change the bed." Ning Shu felt disgusted. "Change the bed? Do you still want to sleep together? Can you not be so disgusting?" Usually, Wang Tiandong would only stay in the basement when he was humiliating the client. After he was done, he would leave the basement. Basically, he would not stay in the basement for long. It was probably because the basement was dirty. In addition, the client hated and struggled with Wang Tiandong every time. How could a forced invasion make her happy? Now that she had a child in her stomach, she wanted to bide her time and wait until the child was born. Ning Shu said, "Either you let me live outside, or you let me live in the basement. Disinfect the basement when you're free. I'm pregnant and my resistance is not very good." Wang Tiandong wanted to deliver the goods. He was holding back his anger, but when he saw Ning Shu's eyes, he could not help but want to agree. In the end, he left the basement bitterly. What a bitch! He wanted to be good to her, but she did not appreciate it at all. Ning Shu curled her lips and touched her stomach. The meat in her stomach was really annoying. Instead of losing it and suffering, it was better to give birth to it. The child in this month, even if she lost it, she would still suffer after giving birth. If she did not have this child, things would be much simpler. After that, Ning Shu was very picky about what she ate. Relying on the fact that she was pregnant, she wanted to eat this and that. She could not eat bad food. Otherwise, she would put it down after a bite. The sheets had to be changed every 2 days. The basement had to be disinfected at all times. Some lime had to be sprinkled on the ground to absorb moisture. In short, there were many requirements. What was more funny was that Wang Tiandong did all of them. He was probably numbing himself. Although I kidnapped you and imprisoned you, I'm treating you well now. You should stay and live a good life with me. Probably with this mentality, Wang Tiandong agreed to all of Ning Shu's requests. He tried his best to satisfy Ning Shu. He was probably immersed in the beauty of his imagination. To Wang Tiandong, having requests could wash away the guilt in his heart. Ning Shu only looked coldly at Wang Tiandong's fawning. In Wang Tiandong's heart, she was Wang Tiandong's woman. How could doing such a thing make her willingly stay here? He was thinking too much. Although they lived in the basement, the environment was much better. They ate well, slept well, and waited for the child to be born. Ning Shu had already thought of where the child would go. He had to leave this world after completing his mission, so he could not take care of the child. Of course, this child had to be entrusted to the family, and he could not tell the family of the person who entrusted the child's background. If it really could not be done, he would be sent to an orphanage. It was better than living in this basement. Moreover, Wang Tiandong, since the person who entrusted the child would not come back, he would definitely do whatever he wanted. After finishing, he would immediately withdraw. It was too exciting. Wang Tiandong moved a big bed to the basement. This bed looked much softer, and the quilt cover was brightly colored, adding some color to the dim basement. Wang Tiandong said, "If you don't say that the bed is small, I will change it for you." There was no way to move the big bed into the basement. It was assembled with parts. Ning Shu looked at the bed expressionlessly and asked, "Do you want to sleep with me?" Wang Tiandong said, "There is no such thing." Since it was a comfortable bed, Ning Shu did not need to refuse. Why would he refuse a way to make himself comfortable? As for Wang Tiandong's fawning, Ning Shu only felt disgusted. No matter what Wang Tiandong did, he could not cover up what he had done. He had imprisoned the person who entrusted the child for more than 10 years. During this time, the psychological and physical damage to the child could not be erased. What Ning Shu wanted to do was to take revenge for the child who had been wronged for more than 10 years. Translator, Lon_editor, Globeglotter. Chapter 3257. Except for the lack of freedom, Ning Shu's life was quite good. She had clean clothes to wear, a comfortable bed to sleep in, and she didn't eat food that didn't taste good. Ning Shu originally wanted to cultivate, but with a child in her belly, she felt that her stomach was falling every day. And it was pressing on her bladder, so she had to go to the bathroom at every turn. It was very annoying to go to the bathroom. Not to mention cultivating. This was a modern plane where there was no spiritual energy, and there was a child in the mother's body. No matter what kind of creature it was, giving birth to the next generation was definitely a test for the mother. Even if it would harm the mother, it was actually absorbing the mother's energy. She had to wait until the melon was ripe before she made plans. There was no way to cultivate. She could only find something to defend herself, and she wouldn't make a scene with Wang Tiandong hysterically. There was no benefit in making a scene. This kind of quietness, on the contrary, could make Wang Tiandong become careless. He would probably think that she had given up and no longer resisted him. Even if Ning Shu treated Wang Tiandong with an indifferent attitude, Wang Tiandong didn't seem to be angry. Ning Shu said that she needed water to wash her hands, so she had to prepare some water in the basement at all times. Wang Tiandong looked at Ning Shu suspiciously. "Don't tell me you want to commit suicide." It was like drowning herself. Ning Shu rolled her eyes. If I want to die, I can just hit the wall. My head can't be harder than the wall. There are many ways to die. Why would I want to drown? Wang Tiandong seemed to be an honest and dull person, not good with words. When Ning Shu said this, he was speechless. He was angry, but he still did as Ning Shu said. In the basement, a water tank, a basin, and all kinds of washing things were prepared. Before Ning Shu came, the environment was as dirty as a pigsty, but now the living environment was much better. Wang Tiandong was actually very happy. She didn't say that she wanted to leave the basement, nor did she yell at him. Maybe she wanted to live a good life. Except for letting her out, Wang Tiandong would try his best to satisfy her as long as it was within his ability. As long as they didn't cause a ruckus, everything was fine. Ning Shu did not reject Wang Tiandong's attentiveness. If you want to give me something good to eat, why don't I eat it? Sometimes, Wang Tiandong would even secretly buy women's clothes for Ning Shu and send them to Ning Shu. Ning Shu only glanced at it and did not comment on whether it looked good or not. Anyway, she was pregnant now, so it was the same no matter what she wore. Wang Tiandong was a school bus driver. He picked up and dropped off students several times a day, so sometimes he spent more time at home. When he had nothing to do, he would stay in the basement and stare at Ning Shu. Recently, Ning Shu had washed himself very clean. In addition to eating nutritious and clean food, he had put on some weight. The client's appearance wasn't bad. Otherwise, Wang Tiandong wouldn't have specifically chosen the client. Therefore, incidents like this were usually committed by acquaintances. Those parents did not know that the driver of the car their children rode in every day was actually such a person. No one could imagine that Wang Tiandong would do such a crazy thing through his simple and honest face. No one had ever suspected him. In the beginning, the client's parents anxiously looked for their daughter every day. They sent out all kinds of advertisements and asked the media for help, but there was no news of their daughter. They couldn't find her if she was alive or dead. She disappeared just like that. Relatives and friends said that she might have been kidnapped and sold to the mountains. They didn't know if she was dead or alive. After a long time, the family gave up and treated it as if the child was dead and disappeared. Sometimes, a person's appearance was a very tempting mask. Moreover, Wang Tiandong looked like an honest person who didn't cause trouble. It didn't matter, he was good, he could do anything. Basically, he wouldn't be angry with others. In school, the evaluation of him was also good. When the client was dragged to the basement by the school bus driver and was humiliated by him, she was very desperate and shocked. She probably didn't expect that the school bus driver, who had no impression of her, would have the opportunity to do such a thing to her. When Wang Tiandong stared at Ning Shu let him stare. No matter how he stared, Ning Shu looked calm. In fact, Ning Shu hoped that the child in her belly would be born soon. After giving birth, her body would feel better. After giving birth, she would take care of her body. Ning Shu said to Wang Tiandong, "I'll give birth here too. If something happens to me, you'll have to dispose of my body. It's so troublesome and easy to be discovered." Wang Tiandong. Now, she wouldn't shout at him like a crazy demon. Every time she saw him, she would pounce on him like an enemy and bite him. But now, her words were particularly rude. There was a kind of bone-piercing pain. It was also a ghastly sight. Although she didn't make a fuss, every word she said reminded Wang Tiandong that he was doing something outrageous and illegal. So Wang Tiandong was always frightened. At that time, he was impulsive. If he let her go, he would be the unlucky one. The law wouldn't let her go. And the girl's family wouldn't let him go. So he had been imprisoned until now. Until this girl was forgotten and no one mentioned her. His life was the same as before. Wang Tiandong said directly, "You can't go anywhere. You can only stay here. The child will be born safely." After all, it was his child. Wang Tiandong didn't kill it directly. He felt that he should make the basement more secure to avoid the baby's crying being heard by the people around. Ning Shu wasn't surprised at all because Wang Tiandong didn't dare to take her to the hospital. Damn, giving birth in the basement. If she wasn't careful, she would lose her life. Ning Shu couldn't cultivate now. She was an ordinary person. In addition, the basement was cold and damp. There was no sunlight. It was not easy to absorb the power of the sun. It was really a mess. And the child's father was like this. Wang Tiandong said, "I will buy some medicine for you. Nothing will happen." When Wang Tiandong said this, he didn't quite believe it himself. So he looked a little flustered. It's easy for some women to give birth. It was easy. This body wasn't even 20 years old. Her bones were just slightly opened. Was it easy to give birth? What if it was infected? Ning Shu didn't want anything to happen to the child midway and cause this mission to fail. Ning Shu sneered. Wang Tiandong's ears were red with embarrassment. He looked at Ning Shu fiercely. "What are you laughing at? You're not that junior high school student anymore. What's there to be proud of?" Chapter 3258. Ning Shu sneered again. "I'm not afraid of you at all. Whether you want to kill me or not, it will be more troublesome if you kill me than if I live. You have to deal with my body. If you don't, it will rot and the smell will spread. Won't anyone find out?" Ning Shu was now like a durian in Wang Tiandong's hand. If he really peeled it and the smell spread, it would arouse suspicion around. But if he didn't peel it, it would be prickly, very prickly. Wang Tiandong gritted his teeth. "You deliberately angered me. Even if you are, I can bury you in the basement." Although it was a cement floor, he could be buried if he was knocked out of the water and dug out the cement. If it doesn't work, just seal it in the cement. Ning Shu nodded. Sure enough, there is no lower limit to the evil of human nature. You never know how evil a person can be. Wang Tiandong was ridiculed by Ning Shu. He turned and went up the stairs. After thinking about it, he turned back and said, "So don't think of any bad ideas. It won't do me any harm whether you are dead or alive. If you are really dead, I can also raise this child. I will tell the public that I adopted him." He could casually say that he picked him up on the side of the road. Even if someone pursued him, no one would be able to take the child away. A child couldn't speak and couldn't do anything. After Wang Tiandong finished speaking, he left the basement and locked the passage. Ning Shu curled his lips and touched his stomach. He felt really uncomfortable. His stomach seemed to be squeezed out of his throat. Ning Shu used a little spiritual power to check. The child was healthy and not very big. It probably had something to do with nutrition. In the beginning, he didn't absorb much nutrition. All 4 limbs were healthy and not deformed. If the child was not big and was born well, he shouldn't suffer much. The client was able to give birth to the child under such bad conditions probably because the child was small. If the child was a little fat, there would be no way to give birth naturally. However, they couldn't go to the hospital for a cesarean section. It was very likely that 2 lives would be lost. So there were advantages to having a small child. At least both of them survived. Because there was still 1 or 2 months before the baby was born, Ning Shu treated Wang Tiandong like a servant during this period of nurturing. Sometimes, she would need a bouquet of flowers. Sometimes, she would want to eat something. Wang Tiandong breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that the unpleasant conversation last time was over. He said, "I bought some medicine for you as well as children's diapers and milk powder." Ning Shu nodded. "Very good. It's what I need." When Wang Tiandong saw Ning Shu like this, he cheered in his heart. He was excited to be recognized. A man like Wang Tiandong was so ordinary that no woman would look at him for more than a second. That kind of inferiority that was engraved in the bones could be said to be innate. Other than being honest, he had no other good points. Now that there was a woman to bear it, Wang Tiandong was very happy in his heart. He took out the items one by one so that he could tell Ning Shu how to use them. Ning Shu didn't say a word. He just looked at Wang Tiandong indifferently. Even so, it made Wang Tiandong talk more and more energetically. "I bought boys' clothes. The child should be a boy, right? Your sister, it's a girl." Ning Shu chuckled. "I don't know. I can't see the child through the belly." Wang Tiandong reached out to touch Ning Shu's belly, but Ning Shu avoided him. "Your hand is cold. Don't touch my belly. I'm not feeling well." Although Wang Tiandong was unhappy, he didn't touch it. He put his hand in his chest and said, "I'll warm it up." Ning Shu's straightforward disdain made Wang Tiandong dislike it very much. He also had a trace of hostility. She had become his prisoner, yet she was still like this. Did she still think that she was a young girl, a proud and wanton girl? But at that time, Wang Tiandong had taken a fancy to her. He was envious of her coquettish and youthful wanton body. But after being brought here, she had been staring at him with hatred and fear. Her body was dirty from head to toe. She didn't want to eat, but he forced her to eat. He forced it into her mouth. This pride was something that Wang Tiandong loved and hated. Since he was envious, he also had a bit of hatred. Such a girl wouldn't even look at him. Even if she took the school bus every day, she would never look at him, the school bus driver. That kind of inferiority, fear, envy, and hatred attacked Wang Tiandong's heart. An ordinary man was not qualified to receive a woman's favor and gaze. Men seemed to be powerful creatures, but sometimes a woman's gaze was enough to destroy their pride and self-confidence. Because a woman could refuse to accept his genes and refuse to give birth to the next generation. The genes could not be passed down. Without a mate, just like in the animal kingdom, no female would be willing to mate with a loser. People were also animals. Men scolded women for being materialistic and vain. They knew that because they couldn't meet the needs of women, they couldn't communicate with women. They could only use this kind of attack to vent their resentment. Wang Tiandong was one of the many men like this. And he was the lowest kind of man. For so many years, Wang Tiandong didn't get married. His family conditions weren't good, and he didn't have anything to show. Honesty was a merit. The reason why he was honest was because he didn't even have the chance to be dishonest. And was Wang Tiandong honest? If he wasn't honest, he wouldn't have done such a thing. He could imprison a girl for more than 10 years as if nothing had happened. During the pregnancy, Ning Shu was indifferent to Wang Tiandong, but Wang Tiandong found a sense of home from Ning Shu. After this period of time, Ning Shu understood Wang Tiandong well enough. A man without any core competitiveness, who didn't dare to do things openly, could only use this kind of method to plunder girls. And his heart was conflicted. He hated Ning Shu. It was probably Ning Shu's high and mighty attitude that provoked him, but he also subconsciously tried to please Ning Shu. He tried his best to satisfy whatever he wanted, subconsciously buying the best thing. Ning Shu's attitude towards men with this kind of mentality became more and more high and mighty. Since you like this, you can still slap your face and your life can be comfortable, why not use it? Ning Shu's attitude was high and mighty, but he would occasionally affirm Wang Tiandong. A little stingy affirmation made Wang Tiandong feel very happy. An inferior and vicious man. Ning Shu couldn't help but laugh in his heart. The physical pain was nothing, but the mental torture was called torture. The client had been tortured by physical pain and mental fear for so many years. Chapter 3259. If it was just physical torture, it was also mental torture. Later, Ning Shu felt more and more uncomfortable in her stomach. She couldn't sleep the whole night and tossed and turned. Her legs were also swollen. Ning Shu couldn't even rub her legs because her stomach was in the way. Perhaps it was because she was thin, her stomach looked particularly big, so big that it was a little scary. In fact, the child wasn't big, but there was a lot of amniotic fluid. It was painful to give birth, and it was hard to carry the child. She had morning sickness at the beginning, and later, her body became clumsy and she wanted to go to the toilet. If it was the crystallization of love, it would be fine, but the child in her stomach, Ning Shu was very calm. After all, this child wasn't her child. During this period, Wang Tiandong liked to run to the basement more and more. As long as he didn't go to work, he would stay with Ning Shu. It was like a couple staying together. Ning Shu was indifferent, but she didn't reject it. Wang Tiandong successfully fell into his fantasy. He felt that they were a happy family, and a woman was pregnant with his child. Although he had used some tricks, the result was good, and that was enough. Wang Tiandong hypnotized himself. Because Ning Shu didn't want to sleep on the same bed as Wang Tiandong made a bed on the floor. Even so, he was still very vigilant. The key never left his body. When he slept, he would wake up at the slightest movement. Ning Shu was really annoyed by this person. The basement was only so big. She wanted to go to the toilet, and she wanted to go to the toilet in front of a man. Ning Shu asked Wang Tiandong to pull a curtain and solve the problem behind the curtain. Wang Tiandong naturally did as he was told. Such a simple thing was a piece of cake for him. Wang Tiandong had already regarded Ning Shu as his wife. He even fell into his fantasy and was looking forward to the child in Ning Shu's stomach. Every time he wanted to touch it, he would first warm his hands. Even so, Ning Shu still didn't let him touch it. Touch your own. It's so disgusting. Although Wang Tiandong was unhappy, he knew that it would take a long time for this girl to completely accept him. It was already a big improvement. When the child was born, the mother usually couldn't bear to part with the child. When the time came, he would send the child to school and tell the public that the child was adopted. He was adopted because his relatives had too many children and couldn't afford to raise him. Then, she could successfully solve the problem of the child's identity. Although she had been wronged to live in the basement, when the child came back from school, the family of 3 would be reunited in the basement. It was perfect. Because of the change in Ning Shu's attitude, Wang Tiandong also had a plan for the future of this child. He was not going to leave him in the basement like in the original plot. It was not easy for a child to successfully grow to 5 or 6 years old, especially in such a harsh environment. If Ning Shu knew what Wang Tiandong was thinking, he would spit at him. They reunited in the basement, locked her up in the basement, and then pretended to be a happy family. Children who came into contact with the outside world would grow up day by day. Wouldn't they find it strange that their mother was like a criminal? Wang Tiandong was really ignorant and vicious. The client was a human being, not a beast that was locked up in a pen and had no thoughts or feelings. Just a little bit of color was enough to open a dye house. However, this color had to continue. Fall into your beautiful fantasy. When the time comes, it will be more painful when the fantasy is shattered. Ning Shu took the initiative to ask, "What name do you want to give this child?" Wang Tiandong did not think of this for a moment. Giving a name to the child, his heart thumped. "I'll check the dictionary and give the child a nice name." A nice name. Wang Tiandong left the basement and locked the heavy wooden door. It was like Wang Tiandong's instinct that he would never forget. Even though he was now immersed in his fantasy, he never thought of letting Ning Shu out of the basement. He probably knew that if Ning Shu was released, he would run away. Wang Tiandong was immersed in the excitement of naming. Every day, he would come up with many names to bother Ning Shu. Ning Shu said impatiently, "You decide." Wang Tiandong felt that this was Ning Shu admitting that he was still the child's father. In the plot, this child didn't have a proper name. There was only one name, and that was Doll. The client's feelings for this child were very complicated. It was her own child, and she had such a father who stayed with her in a basement that didn't see the light of day. Pity was mixed with disgust. She wasn't very close to this child. The child was born with the client, and the client was sometimes distant and sometimes close to her. Sometimes she was disgusted and scolded her, but sometimes she was a little warm. The child had never seen the way other mothers and daughters interacted with each other. Naturally, she didn't feel that her mother's treatment of her was inappropriate. Moreover, she didn't feel that there was anything wrong with living in a dirty basement. Her entire life was in this basement. Wang Tiandong said one name after another, but these names were all given a surname, and that was Wang. Wang Tiandong's Wang was a little disgusting. One morning, Ning Shu's stomach finally acted up. It was so painful that Ning Shu's whole body trembled, and his stomach shrank in pain. "Oh my God, it really hurts." In order to give birth faster, Ning Shu had to endure the pain and walk in the basement over and over again. This way, he could give birth faster. Wang Tiandong drove the school bus to send the students to school. He was really worried for the students, sitting in a car driven by a beast every day. He also didn't know if Wang Tiandong imprisoned other girls. Ning Shu took a deep breath and then another breath. His stomach was in pain. In the future, he would definitely not do the task of giving birth. It was clearly not his child, but he still had to suffer. He fumbled around and prepared everything, such as scissors and towels. When he felt that it was about time, Ning Shu quickly lay on the bed. He only took a deep breath and didn't cry out. This child wasn't big, and the birth was quite smooth. In an instant, something was out of the body, and his whole body felt relaxed. The child cried loudly. Ning Shu sat up and cut the child's umbilical cord. Thinking about it, he had a lot of life experience. It was enough to experience something like this once. Ning Shu used a soft towel to wipe the child's body. Sure enough, it was a girl. Her hair was very sparse and yellow, and she was very thin and weak. After crying for a while, she was tired and fell asleep with her eyes closed. After wrapping the child up and putting her on the bed, Ning Shu threw the placenta into the toilet bowl and then put a sanitary pad under her body. There was still blood in her stomach. Because of the hormones in his body, Ning Shu, who was not even afraid of death, had an inexplicable feeling of crying in the wind. Postpartum depression was really a scary thing. Chapter 3260. Giving birth was a test for a female. After 10 months of pregnancy, due to the hormones in the mother's body, as well as the worry for the child's future, the mother would often fall into a state of anxiety and crying. Sometimes, she would feel so hopeless that she wished she could hug the child and die. Even though Ning Shu's mind was firm, the exhaustion and frustration from giving birth made him feel like he was better off dead. The basement was filled with the smell of blood. Ning Shu looked at the blushing child and touched her smooth and tender skin. He had to think of a way to settle this child. After all, she had been in pain for so long, a child that had been in her stomach for more than 2 months. When Wang Tiandong came back, he smelled the smell of blood in the basement and was shocked. He thought that the woman in the basement had committed suicide. When he saw Ning Shu lying on the bed, he heaved a sigh of relief. There was a child beside him. Did you give birth? He had only gone to school, but the child had already been unloaded. Is it a boy or a girl? Wang Tiandong directly lifted the swaddling clothes. When he saw that it was a girl, he looked very disappointed. After a while, he said, "A girl is fine too." It was a girl. It was fine to say that he had picked her up. After all, it was more normal to abandon a girl than a boy. Some families insisted on having a boy. The poorer they were, the more they wanted a boy. If they had a girl, it was normal to abandon her. After all, they could not afford to raise her. Wang Tiandong, who had thought it through, smiled. A girl is good, a girl is good. Wang Tiandong asked Ning Shu, "Are you okay? Prepare something for me to eat. Something light. It's easy to digest." Ning Shu calmly instructed. Wang Tiandong left the basement, locked the wooden planks and began to prepare food. Ning Shu ate the medicine. It was some medicine for expelling blood clots. He had to recuperate first. Although he had to leave the world after completing the mission, Ning Shu did not want to drag his uncomfortable body to do the mission. The mission was not urgent. He had to finish the confinement first. During this period, he would give Wang Tiandong some fantasies. Wang Tiandong brought in the brown sugar egg water. Ning Shu drank the boiling soup. His body did not have any strength. He said to Wang Tiandong, "I'm very tired now. Make some milk for the child." Ning Shu didn't want to breastfeed, not at all. Wang Tiandong said, "Why don't we feed the child some milk?" He had checked the treatment and it said that the mother's first milk was very good for the child. It could strengthen the child's immunity. The first sip of milk is good for the child. Ning Shu swallowed a mouthful of saliva and almost spat out the egg he had just eaten. Wang Tiandong was really addicted to role-playing. Was he playing the role of a loving father? It was good to get into character. Ning Shu just said, "I don't have milk, so I'll make milk powder for the child. It'll have the same effect." Wang Tiandong could only give the child milk powder. The child was also hungry and kept drinking from the bottle. Ning Shu was so tired that he couldn't open his eyes. He said, "I'm very tired. Don't wake me up." Wang Tiandong nodded. "All right." Wang Tiandong felt that the way they interacted with each other before was very comfortable. At least now, the girl was clean and beautiful. Although her attitude was always arrogant, Wang Tiandong was satisfied. It would be even better if she could be more gentle one day. They would be happy like a family. Wang Tiandong asked Ning Shu tentatively, "Do you want to go home?" Ning Shu couldn't be bothered to deal with Wang Tiandong. "Do you dare to let me go back?" Wang Tiandong was speechless. He didn't dare. Moreover, the girl's family wouldn't let him go. This was his child's mother. When the time came, they would definitely be forced to separate. Moreover, he had kidnapped a person for so long. He would face legal punishment. Rather than that, he might as well let her stay here. She couldn't go back. Wang Tiandong suddenly wanted to slap his big mouth. Why did he have to talk about this awkward topic? It was something that couldn't be done. If he said it, it would make this woman fantasize. As long as she didn't leave this place, this was Wang Tiandong's bottom line. As long as this woman didn't make a fuss about leaving this place, he would do his best to satisfy her. Ning Shu slept for a while. There was still lochia flowing under his body. It was the residual blood from his body. After sweating all over, Ning Shu was groggy. Moreover, his chest started to swell. It was very painful. Was this breast swelling? This was really awkward. Ning Shu didn't plan to nurse. It was still swollen. After a long time, it would swell until it disappeared. Wang Tiandong held the child and coaxed him. Seeing that Ning Shu was awake, he asked, "Are you feeling better?" Ning Shu said lightly, "Get me some warm water. I want to wipe my body." Wang Tiandong said, "They say that women can't take a shower and wash their hair during confinement. Just bear with it." Bear with it, my ass. He was sweating all over. After a long time, the sweat would ferment. The air in the basement wouldn't circulate. One could imagine how strong the smell would be. Ning Shu looked at Wang Tiandong expressionlessly. Wang Tiandong had no choice but to get some warm water for Ning Shu. Ning Shu got up from the bed and went behind the curtain to wash up. Wang Tiandong saw Ning Shu lift the curtain and was a little stunned. Ning Shu glanced at him. Wang Tiandong came back to his senses. He said, "I will treat you well." Ning Shu nodded. "Okay." When Wang Tiandong saw Ning Shu's response, he immediately swore, "Really, I will treat you well." "Really, as long as you don't leave here, live a good life with me, and give this child a home. As long as you don't leave, we will be a happy family. We will live a good life," Wang Tiandong said. Ning Shu was speechless. Live a good life, a happy family? Wang Tiandong's imagination was too perfect. Wang Tiandong seemed to have thought of something. He said, "Even if you don't do it for me, you have to do it for the child. As long as you don't want to leave, don't run." Ning Shu nodded and said, "I know." Wang Tiandong said happily, "Have you thought it through?" "Of course I've thought it through. If I go back now, it'll be awkward. My family definitely won't recognize me, and there will be a lot of rumors. Rather than that, I might as well live here," Ning Shu said lightly. Wang Tiandong was smashed by the sudden joy. He asked, "Really?" Ning Shu looked into his eyes, and his gaze became deeper. He said slowly, word by word, "Of course it's true. I plan to live a good life with you." Wang Tiandong's eyes became a little dazed. When he came back to his senses, a smile appeared on his honest face. "We will live a good life in the future." Perhaps the two of them had expressed their feelings to each other. Wang Tiandong took good care of Ning Shu, who was in confinement, and took care of the child, acting like a good father. They spent every night in the basement. /BK. Chapter 3261. He bathed the child, changed his diapers, and took care of the child. Compared to the situation in the plot where the child was left to fend for himself, the current Wang Tiandong was really a good person. Ning Shu sneered in his heart. He seemed to be moved by Wang Tiandong's appearance. Although he was stubborn, he would occasionally talk to Wang Tiandong about the child's education and future. Wang Tiandong was pleasantly surprised by Ning Shu's change and became more and more attentive. He looked like he was soaking in a honey pot, a happy man. After a month of confinement, Ning Shu even gained weight. The child ate milk powder, which was bought by Wang Tiandong. Similar to the plot, the child now enjoyed being taken care of and cared for. In the plot, the child was so hungry that he cried, and the person who entrusted him would feed him a little. It was by eating and starving that the child tenaciously survived. It was also not easy. After a month of confinement, Wang Tiandong wanted to do that with Ning Shu again? Ning Shu, disgusting. Ning Shu refused directly, saying that his body was not good and he needed to recuperate more. Although Wang Tiandong was unhappy, he could not really force Ning Shu. Otherwise, it would be like before. This woman would scratch and scratch him, shouting and yelling at him. It would really spoil his mood. Every time it came, it was like fighting. Wang Tiandong wanted the kind of carefree feeling where the two of them were connected. Now that their relationship had eased, there was no need to give up halfway because of this. However, he really could not bear it. One night, Wang Tiandong touched Ning Shu's bed and wanted to have an affair. Ning Shu directly used a mental attack and directly knocked him out. Wang Tiandong did not have time to react at all and fainted. When he woke up the next morning, his head was dizzy and painful. When he looked at the bed, there was no sign of the woman and the child. There was no one in the basement. Wang Tiandong was shocked. His head felt like it had been hit by a hammer, dizzy and painful. When he felt that the key was still there, he quickly got up from the bed and saw that the wooden door lock of the basement was open. The wooden door was open. Wang Tiandong was so scared that his legs went soft. He hurriedly went out of the basement and searched everywhere. It was a very old and remote residential area. The conditions and facilities were poor, and the houses were dilapidated. Wang Tiandong searched everywhere but could not find anyone. The woman and the child were gone. Hadn't she already promised him? But now she was gone. Where did she go? Did he go home or call the police? Wang Tiandong was shocked and angry. Like a headless fly, he frantically searched around. His face was filled with fear. Uncle Ning Shu appeared in front of Wang Tiandong again with the child in his arms. Wang Tiandong almost thought it was an illusion. He rubbed his eyes and quickly ran over, raising his hand to give Ning Shu a big slap. Wang Tiandong, in order to dispel the fear in his heart, decided to use violence to punish Ning Shu. Seeing that someone was going to hit him, Ning Shu reflexively wanted to dodge, but he took the slap. The slap hit Ning Shu's face. The sound was very loud. Wang Tiandong, as if waking up from a dream, looked at Ning Shu blankly. It was true. Great sadness and joy hit Wang Tiandong's heart. His mood was surging like a roller coaster. He quickly pulled Ning Shu into the basement and roared, "Where did you go? Did you want to run away?" Ning Shu said, "I just saw that you didn't close the door. I took the child out to bask in the sun. Children are particularly prone to calcium deficiency. I didn't want to run away. If I wanted to run away, why would I come back?" Ning Shu licked the corner of his mouth. There was a bloody taste in the corner of his mouth. It seemed that his mouth was broken. I thought you were lying to me." Ning Shu said, "Why would I lie to you? Even if it was for the child, I would still stay." Now Wang Tiandong's mood was like a roller coaster at the highest point, up and down. "And you actually hit me. You hit me without asking me." Ning Shu's face was cold. Wang Tiandong looked at Ning Shu's cold face and couldn't help but say, "Well, it's my fault. Why don't you hit me back?" Ning Shu's attitude became colder and colder. He didn't pay attention to Wang Tiandong at all. Wang Tiandong instinctively wanted to admit his mistake. He said with some flattery, "I'm serious. You can hit me back." Ning Shu snorted, "If I hit you back, you will kill me." No, you can do whatever you want. I slapped you before. You can hit me back." Wang Tiandong said and put his face in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't hit him. Instead, he was as cold as ice. He didn't say a word to Wang Tiandong. He didn't say anything about what he wanted to eat or drink. In order to prevent Ning Shu from stepping out of the basement again, Wang Tiandong was very careful. Until now, he still didn't know what had happened. He wanted to have sex with this woman, but his head hurt. When he woke up, she was gone. The key was with him again. It seemed that he really forgot to lock it. And this woman was treating him like this again. It wasn't easy for their previous relationship to ease a little. Ning Shu was in silent violence with Wang Tiandong. In fact, this was also good. In fact, Ning Shu didn't want to say a word to Wang Tiandong. Wang Tiandong took care of the child and stared at Ning Shu from time to time. Ning Shu ignored him and treated him like air. Wang Tiandong reached the limit of his tolerance. He said impatiently, "I asked you to hit me, but you didn't hit me. Who are you showing this dead face for?" Ning Shu said coldly, "If I really hit you, you will definitely fly into a rage out of humiliation." "I won't let you hit me," Wang Tiandong said. Ning Shu didn't hold back this time. He raised his hand and slapped Wang Tiandong's face. A red handprint appeared on his face. Wang Tiandong suddenly felt his head buzzing. He was a little stunned from the hit. Ning Shu immediately asked, "What happened to you? You asked me to hit you." Wang Tiandong heard Ning Shu's anxious tone and the anger in his heart disappeared. He said, "It's okay. I asked you to hit me." Ning Shu looked faintly at Wang Tiandong's swollen face and asked, "Are you really okay?" Wang Tiandong breathed a sigh of relief. Since she was willing to hit him, it meant that the previous matter was over. "It's okay." He didn't expect the woman to be so strong. When Ning Shu saw that Wang Tiandong had been beaten, anger flashed across her face, followed by relief. Then she heaved a sigh of relief. This matter was over. Ning Shu's attitude towards Wang Tiandong was a little better than before. This made Wang Tiandong feel that the slap was worth it. However, the half of his face that was hit by Ning Shu was swollen for a long time. The bruises didn't disappear for a few days. /BK. Chapter 3262. He even had to wear a bandage when he went to work. To outsiders, he said he fell. After that, their relationship gradually developed into Ning Shu. What was there to be unhappy about? Or if Wang Tiandong did something wrong, Ning Shu would immediately put on a cold face and enter Cold War mode. For several days, he was as cold as ice towards Wang Tiandong. No matter what he did, Wang Tiandong gritted his teeth and said, "It's all my fault. Why don't you beat me up?" "Ning Shu, I'm not someone who likes to beat people up." Wang Tiandong took a deep breath and said, "I know you're not." Then, Ning Shu gave him a tight slap. Then the Cold War ended, and they returned to their previous relationship. Every time they fought, Ning Shu would give Wang Tiandong slightly better treatment. She would take a step back and let him take a step forward. She would even let him sleep on the bed. Wang Tiandong felt that although it hurt, their relationship eased very well. People were lazy. When they encountered something that could solve everything in one way, they would not think of other ways. And Ning Shu was now cultivating Wang Tiandong's laziness. Every time he encountered something, he would use one method to solve it. A beating was enough. If it still didn't work, Wang Tiandong would beg for another beating. And after the fight, the previous matter was written off and vanished like smoke in thin air. Wang Tiandong would rely on this method to solve the conflict between the two people. Ning Shu was still as cold as ice. After the beating, his face would be much better in the next second, as if he had changed his face. And Wang Tiandong secretly breathed a sigh of relief, feeling that the matter was resolved. And Ning Shu would think of ways to create conflicts. Once there was a conflict, Wang Tiandong would start begging for a beating. After the beating, to prevent Wang Tiandong from rebelling, he would take the initiative to apply a hot towel to his face and pour him water. And Ning Shu looked distressed. "Can you not make me beat you like this? I can't bear it." Ning Shu was like a white lotus flower. "Don't be like this. Don't make me beat you. I really don't want to beat you." Every time he hit Wang Tiandong, his face would say, "I don't want to hit you. My heart hurts." However, if Wang Tiandong did not allow Ning Shu to fight, Ning Shu would return to his ice-cold appearance. Wang Tiandong couldn't find any other way, so he could only beg for a beating. Ning Shu, on the other hand, wouldn't directly beat Wang Tiandong up. Instead, she showed a very reluctant and resistant expression. Then he unwillingly beat Wang Tiandong with all his might. Of course, sometimes when Wang Tiandong was hurt and wanted to fight back, Ning Shu directly used his spiritual force to stun Wang Tiandong. Now, he could only use his mental strength. He couldn't use any other abilities. When Wang Tiandong woke up, Ning Shu said, "Why do you always faint? You should go to the hospital to see if there's anything wrong with your body." Wang Tiandong was also puzzled. His head hurt so much. Maybe there really was something wrong with his head. He hurried to the hospital for a checkup, but there were no results. In this cycle of cold and hot, Ning Shu and Wang Tiandong formed a strange way of getting along. And Wang Tiandong was already used to this method, which could quickly solve the conflict between the two. The only thing Wang Tiandong would not let Ning Shu hit was his face. After all, it was easy to arouse suspicion with injuries every day. He fell so frequently, and even fell on his face. Ning Shu never mentioned going back again. It seemed that he really wanted to stay and live a good life with Wang Tiandong. This made Wang Tiandong feel that the physical pain he suffered was worth it. Although it hurt, there was a gain. The effort was rewarded, and Wang Tiandong's brain accepted this solution. Rather than a solution, it was better to call it a punishment mechanism. This punishment mechanism was too convenient, and it left a deep impression. In the future, when Wang Tiandong faced Ning Shu, his brain would immediately activate this mechanism. As long as there was a problem in the relationship between the two people, this solution would first appear in his brain. And his brain would also numb Wang Tiandong. Although it would hurt, there would be a reward. So Wang Tiandong often shouted in his heart, "Hit me, hit me, hit me quickly." After hitting him, the matter was over. Ning Shu only gave a little benefit and sweetness. Previously, he was expressionless, occasionally smiling, and squeezing him on the bed. Other than that, he would not let him do anything. Although Wang Tiandong had a solution, it was still very painful to be hit. So he was worried that Ning Shu would be angry, and if she was angry, he would be beaten. In the repeated alternating between cold and hot, Wang Tiandong's brain had already been shaped, and he already had a fixed way of thinking. He was originally a dull person, and the boldest thing he did in his life was kidnapping the person who entrusted him. Ning Shu's actions were to show Wang Tiandong another way, a way to solve the conflict between the two people. Other than not letting Ning Shu out of the basement, Wang Tiandong was getting better and better to Ning Shu, and his bottom line was getting lower and lower. It was estimated that in the near future, Ning Shu might be allowed to leave the basement. However, Ning Shu leaving the basement was related to Wang Tiandong's life. In order to save his own life, it was very likely that he would be exposed. This should be Wang Tiandong's bottom line that could not be crossed. However, every time Wang Tiandong begged Ning Shu to hit him, Ning Shu would look like a white lotus and then hit him very hard. After hitting him, he would ask about Wang Tiandong's well-being. The child changed day by day. His skin was still red before, but now it was white and tender, and he had lost weight. From the looks of it, he should be a beauty when he grows up. It was not known if he could grow up. Now was not the time to leave. Wang Tiandong took care of the child every day, and it seemed that he had not established a deep relationship. When a deep relationship was established, it would be extremely painful to cut it off. Without investing time, money, and feelings, it did not matter whether the child was there or not. However, if too much money was invested and the child suddenly disappeared, that would be called pain and unwillingness. Moreover, what was wrong with letting the child be taken care of by his father? He could not be tortured like in the plot, and he did not know how to survive. He was a completely mentally deformed child. However, this child's whereabouts really gave Ning Shu a headache. After she left, this child would have no parents. Moreover, Ning Shu would not allow this child to live with Wang Tiandong. Before leaving, he had to deal with Wang Tiandong. Was he really going to give him to the client's family? Directly at the door. If they directly sent him to the police station and no one adopted him, he would be directly sent to the orphanage. Ning Shu asked through the system, "Ask the client again if he will come back." This child really made people feel numb. Sure enough, it was inconvenient to have concerns, and he was full of worries. /BK Chapter 3263. If she was alone, it would be much easier to complete the mission, but there was no guarantee that the client would not go back on her word. What if she came back? On the phone. If she came back, there was no need to worry about the child. However, if she came back, the client's identity would also be a problem. After confirming her return, Ning Shu still had to help the client get an identity. Her current identity was already dead, and there was no such person in the world anymore. He did not want her to suddenly come back and catch him off guard. It was better to ask again and again. Right now, she was dealing with Wang Tiandong like a carrot and a stick. Step by step, she would be able to tame Wang Tiandong sooner or later. If she suddenly disappeared after taming, Wang Tiandong would be at a loss and very painful. After getting used to a pattern, it would be painful and difficult to re-establish a new pattern. Just like the animals in the circus, they were very pitiful, but once they left the circus, these animals would also die. Because they left the circus, these animals could not hunt, could not survive, and only knew how to juggle. Although it was painful, they could only live in the circus. Ning Shu wanted Wang Tiandong to get used to this pattern, and then suddenly leave. Ning Shu said to the system, "Help me confirm it again. Ask clearly, there is a way to complete the mission if she comes back, and there is a way to complete the mission if she doesn't come back." The system said, "Okay." After a while it said, "She won't come back." Ning Shu said, "Are you sure? You can't change it after you confirm it." The system said, "She said she won't go back, she can't face the child, and her life is already broken, there is no need to go back. Such a broken life, without a family, and with a child to live, such a life was hopeless with no end in sight. Even if she could live a bright future, it would be 10,000 times more difficult than a normal person's success. Why should she live such a life? Starting over was a better choice. Since you've asked clearly, that's good." Ning Shu was relieved. Then this mission was completed and he could leave directly. There was no need to care about what happened after. It was the child that needed to be dealt with properly. Although Wang Tiandong looked like a loving father now, Ning Shu couldn't leave this child to Wang Tiandong at all. Losing two things was too painful. His fantasy of a happy family fell apart in an instant. Physical injury was not a problem. It seemed that Wang Tiandong could tolerate it. In order to avoid being beaten up, he would try his best to satisfy Ning Shu. For example, some small tasks, such as serving tea and pouring water, were done very smoothly. He did everything he was told to do, except for asking Ning Shu to leave the basement. Ning Shu didn't want to leave now. If she wanted to leave, she could do it any time. He let Wang Tiandong carefully put away the key and kept it close to his body. Ning Wang Tiandong, Ning Shu, and Wang Tiandong, Wang Tiandong, and Wang Tiandong, Wang Tiandong, Wang Tiandong. Wang 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 to Wang 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 Wang. Although it was in the basement, he would make it very clean and decorate the basement with some small decorations. Wang Tiandong said that the air in the basement was not good, so he spent some money to get a ventilation duct, which could make the air in the basement much better. Wang Tiandong was glad that she did not insist on leaving the basement, or he would not know what to do. If she was not satisfied, she would be angry. Wang Tiandong felt happy in his heart. Sure enough, she was still thinking about him, or she would have said that she wanted to leave the basement. She must know that he was in a difficult position. Wang Tiandong fell into his fantasy land touched by his own love. Ning Shu almost did not take care of the child. Everything was taken care of by Wang Tiandong. He bathed the child, fed milk powder, and when the child cried and felt uncomfortable, he held him in his arms and coaxed him. Holding the child, Wang Tiandong felt that the whole world was in his arms. He truly felt that this was his child, his bloodline, his descendant. He had a child of his own. Moreover, he had a child with the girl he liked. Now in Wang Tiandong's heart, Ning Shu's figure was deeply engraved in his heart. Even if Ning Shu hit him, he would find a reason to exonerate Ning Shu. The child was taken care of carefully. Now that he had grown up, he would occasionally smile at people. He had no teeth, and his pink gums were exposed. He looked quite cute. But Ning Shu was very worried. How should he deal with this child? If he stayed in this world, his life would not be good. How worrying! Sending him to an orphanage was not necessarily good for the child's life. The children living in the orphanage were not necessarily happy. There was no need to think about who the father of this child was. She was just a sperm provided by the father. Let's try to send her to the client's home first, and then plan for the rest. When the child was 3 months old, Ning Shu used his spiritual power to stun Wang Tiandong, opened the wooden lock, and held the child. According to the address provided in the plot, he found the client's home. Ning Shu stood at the gate of the community, avoided people, and went to the client's door. He rang the doorbell, then put the child at the door. He hid at the stairs and looked around. The door opened. It was the client's mother. This woman looked much older than in the plot. Probably the client's disappearance had taken a lot of life away from this family. A half-grown child had disappeared just like that. There had been no news for so many years. It would be strange if she was not upset. Even a pet would be sad, let alone her own child. The woman opened the door and saw the child. She was stunned for a moment. She looked around and did not dare to pick up the child. A child suddenly appeared at the door. If she picked it up, someone would come out later and say that they were abducting a child. The child spat out saliva. It was white and tender with long eyelashes. It was so cute. But she did not dare to pick it up. She squatted down to look at the child's gender. It was a girl. It was better to call the police. She dialed the police number with her cell phone. Ning Shu, who was hiding at the corner of the stairs, lowered his hat, rushed down the stairs, picked up the child and ran away. Sure enough, no one dared to rashly adopt a child who fell from the sky. Especially in a country with perfect laws and a big city, it was impossible to be like a small place. If a child was suddenly adopted, the neighbors would also be suspicious. Hey! Seeing the child being taken away, the woman hurried to chase. What was the situation? Someone stole a child? /BK. Chapter 3264. Ning Shu ran away and then went home with the child. Wang Tiandong was still in a coma. Ning Shu locked the door of the basement and put the child on the bed. When Wang Tiandong woke up, he had a headache. He rubbed his head and asked, "What time is it now? Why did I faint again?" Ning Shu was upset because he didn't know how to deal with the child. He said angrily, "How would I know what time it is? Why do you faint? You'd better go to the hospital to see if you have any terminal illness." Although Ning Shu's tone was not good and even very rude, Wang Tiandong was not angry at all. He said, "I should go to the hospital." His head hurt and he fainted. When he woke up, his whole body was not good. His head felt like it had been split by an axe. Was there a tumor in his head that pressed on the blood vessels in his brain? Was that why his head hurt so much? Forget it. I won't go to work today. I'll take a leave and go to the hospital. Ning Shu just said, "Okay." Wang Tiandong reached out and touched the child's face. He said, "Our daughter is so beautiful. Many boys will like her in the future." Ning Shu was not in a good mood. He said directly, "Aren't you going to the hospital? Go now." Wang Tiandong was not angry. He changed his clothes and went to the hospital. As soon as Wang Tiandong left, Ning Shu directly pulled a long face and was expressionless. She held her chin and looked at the child who spat. Was there only one way left, which was to send the child to the orphanage? This was really a difficult problem to solve. To be honest, Ning Shu was not willing to send the child to the orphanage. After all, she gave birth to the child. It was rare for her to have a motherly instinct, but she couldn't show it. Wang Tiandong went to the hospital to check his brain. The doctor said that there was nothing wrong with his brain. Wang Tiandong breathed a sigh of relief and felt puzzled. If there was nothing wrong with his brain, why did he keep fainting? And his head hurt so much. Of course, Wang Tiandong wouldn't suspect Ning Shu. After all, Ning Shu was just an ordinary woman. She didn't have any superpowers. If she really had superpowers, she would have run away a long time ago. During this period of time, Ning Shu increased the training of Wang Tiandong. He would often find fault with him, but of course, he did not say that he wanted to leave. This was Wang Tiandong's bottom line. It was a matter of life and death. In the face of death, living creatures would erupt with a powerful rebound force. Therefore, Ning Shu would not touch Wang Tiandong's bottom line, but in other aspects, he would step on Wang Tiandong's bottom line lower and lower. It had been 5 months, but Ning Shu still hadn't dealt with the child. The child's perception of the things around him was getting better and better. Ning Shu thought for a moment and tapped on the black hole to summon Zhu Jun. The golden skeleton appeared in the basement. Zhu Jun sized up Ning Shu. You have a body now. No, it's just for the time being. In the future, I'll have all kinds of bodies, male and female, big and small. Ning Shu said, there's no way to deal with this child. Send him to 9 Palace Mountain. Of course, it would be impossible to send a mature child to 9 Palace Mountain. That would be equivalent to transmigration. However, the current child did not have any special understanding of things. He was a pure soul. A person's understanding of things was accumulated over time. Zhu Jun asked, what's wrong with this child? Ning Shu said, he's mine. Zhu Jun, you gave birth. Ning Shu, don't worry about these details. Zhu Jun said, who will take care of him if he's sent to 9 Palace Mountain? It's not good to find someone to take care of him. Ning Shu had a headache. I can't find someone to take care of him. He's already given birth. What else can I do? This child is in my hands. Fortunately, it was a girl. Zhu Jun, it's not good to give him to the child's father. To be honest, I don't really understand what you're doing now. I'm fulfilling someone's wish. Do you remember the studio that died prematurely? This is what I'm doing now. Zhu Jun, is it a mission to give birth to a child? Ning Shu, anyway, it's a long story. Just take the child away. It had been long enough. 1 month was enough for him to form a habit. She had given Wang Tiandong enough hints. Zhu Jun, I can take him away. The problem is where to and who will take care of him. It's not easy to raise a child. More than 10 years. Take him away first. We'll talk about it after my mission is over. Go to the 2nd level of 9 Palace Mountain. Ning Shu said, living people could not survive in the world of reincarnation. Zhu Jun, since he's not your child, why do you care so much? Maternal instincts? Ning Shu nodded. Yes, I've always been so full of maternal instincts. Zhu Jun did not want to talk anymore. He picked up the child. The child in his arms opened his eyes. Looking at the scary skull, he began to giggle. He did not feel fear at all. He doesn't even have teeth. What's there to laugh about? Zhu Jun carried the child into the black hole. Ning Shu stopped him and asked him to take away all the baby products. How could he raise a child without baby products? Zhu Jun turned around and carried the things away. With one hand holding the child, he entered the black hole. Ning Shu stretched lazily. It was time to leave this place. Staying in such a small and depressing place made people feel mentally unhealthy. It was even more depressing than being in prison. Ning Shu left the basement. When Wang Tiandong came back, he saw that the wooden boards of the basement were open. When he entered, he saw that the basement was empty. Even the crib was gone. What was going on? For a moment, Wang Tiandong felt as if his brain had been smashed by a huge hammer. His soul left his body and returned to the 9 heavens. Did they really leave? Even the crib was gone. All the baby products were gone. It was as if all traces of the child had been erased. Wang Tiandong had a bad feeling. He had a feeling that the mother and daughter would not come back. However, he tried his best to deny it. Wang Tiandong was terrified. He felt as if he had been abandoned by the whole world. He was so terrified that he did not know what to do. He saw the road ahead. He was at a loss. He felt as if he could not live anymore. He came out of the basement and looked around the neighborhood. His face was full of fear. Not only was he afraid that his actions would be discovered, but he was also afraid that he would be abandoned. He had been used to a lifestyle. If he suddenly had to change, he would feel fear and despair. In fact, Wang Tiandong's spirit relied on Ning Shu to live. Without Ning Shu, Wang Tiandong would have no spiritual support. More than half a year was enough for Wang Tiandong's spirit to relax. It was the feeling of a pet relying on its master. Although Wang Tiandong could drive and earn some money to survive, Wang Tiandong without a spiritual support was not someone who could earn money to support himself. Spiritual despair was like a poison. The longer it lasted, the more poisonous it became. /BK. Chapter 3265. Ning Shu stood in a hidden place and looked at Wang Tiandong's terrified and desperate look. He walked with 1 foot deep and the other shallow. He didn't even know if he bumped into someone. He looked like he was about to cry. His face was pale and he was terrified and helpless. His hands were trembling. Ning Shu just looked at him indifferently. He let the pet get used to being owned by the owner and then heartlessly abandoned the pet. How desperate and scared the pet must be now. Ning Shu was now a bad owner. Ning Shu found a small hotel to stay in. It was the kind that was more hidden. After all, a bigger hotel required an ID card. She didn't have one now. She secretly observed Wang Tiandong. During this time, Wang Tiandong had been looking for someone. He couldn't eat or sleep. Since he was worried that what he had done would be exposed, he hoped that the woman would come back with the child like before. He waited anxiously as if he was waiting for a judge. Where did they go? Wang Tiandong didn't go to class. He looked everywhere every day and expanded the search area. But the mother and daughter seemed to have evaporated from the world. They disappeared silently. Liar, big liar. And Wang Tiandong didn't believe that she would abandon the feelings between them. Could it be that their previous interactions were all fake? For a period of time, Wang Tiandong was skinny. His cheekbones were raised and his eyes were red. Anyone who saw Wang Tiandong in this state would think that Wang Tiandong's mental state was not good. Moreover, he looked at people with a crazy energy. The school leaders saw Wang Tiandong like this and temporarily stopped him from driving. If anything happened to him while driving, it was related to the safety of the students. However, seeing that Wang Tiandong had been driving for the school for so many years and nothing had happened during that time, Wang Tiandong had always been reliable. The school's leaders also asked Wang Tiandong to rest and come back to class when his body was better. But now Wang Tiandong's mental state was not good. When he heard that the school leaders had the intention to expel him, he immediately became irritable. He looked quite crazy. For Wang Tiandong, it was like he was cheated and abandoned. Now these people were going to expel him. One by one, they were going to abandon him. For Wang Tiandong, the actions of the school leaders were the last straw that broke his back. He hysterically argued with the school. What right do you have to expel me? What if something happens to me while I'm driving? You're all liars, lying to me one by one. The whole world wanted to abandon him. They had agreed to spend the rest of their lives together. He had driven for the school for so many years. He had always been a cautious driver. He would rather slow down than exceed the speed limit. Obey the traffic rules. However, these people insisted on giving him another blow when he was at his lowest point, when he was in pain. The school leaders were speechless. What was wrong with him? Seeing that you're not in good spirits and in a daze, it's wrong to let you rest. Seeing Wang Tiandong like this, the school leaders felt even more uneasy. If something really happened to him while he was driving, the school would have to face a torrent of questions and accusations from the parents. The school leaders decided to let Wang Tiandong rest for a period of time. As for whether he could still come to class in the future, it would depend on his condition. In fact, this was more or less the same as being fired. Anyone with a bit of self-respect would just walk away. Wang Tiandong was now like a spring. The heavier the pressure, the greater the rebound. In such a situation, of course, he would kick up a fuss and do his best. The school leaders were having a headache because of Wang Tiandong. He was just a school bus driver. He was not a teacher of the school. Although he could not be fired directly, he could be transferred. How could he be put in a spot by a school bus driver? They immediately decided to fire him. They would not give Wang Tiandong any chance. Letting such a paranoid lunatic drive the school bus, who knew when he would do something harmful to the children? Wang Tiandong's job was gone. His mental support had collapsed. Now, even his psychological support had collapsed. The whole world was leaving her. He put up small advertisements every day. They were all missing people notices and looking for people. When people familiar with him asked, he would lie and say that he was a relative. Because the mother and daughter had gone missing, he was now helping to look for them. If anyone saw them, they should inform him immediately. Now Wang Tiandong could lie without batting an eye. No one would have thought that Wang Tiandong had imprisoned a girl for so many years. Moreover, Wang Tiandong was usually an honest person. When he said that, others believed him. It had been a few days since Ning Shu left. During this time, Ning Shu did not appear once. He was secretly observing. Looking at Wang Tiandong's terrified and desperate face, there was resentment and hatred, but more than that, there was desire. If Ning Shu appeared in front of Wang Tiandong now, Wang Tiandong would definitely be ecstatic. He would definitely not care about it. If he did anything, he would not dare to go overboard. Ning Shu would not appear in front of Wang Tiandong. He would let him find him first and wait in fear and despair. He did not know when the police would come. He would scare himself. A sword was hanging on his neck. He did not know when it would fall. The feeling of waiting for death was not good. He was waiting for someone to appear. He was getting more and more desperate. After despair, he would be lucky. Maybe he would be relieved. At that time, Ning Shu would go and make his presence known. One had to let one's heart be in a state of anxiety and despair at all times. Shrouded in despair and hopelessness. Losing and gaining repeatedly was enough to torture a person's heart. Because he did not have an ID card, Ning Shu could not find a job. He could only find a small restaurant to be a dishwasher. It was also temporary. He just needed to earn enough money to live in a hotel and make a living. He did not expect to make any big money. In this world, he ate one meal at a time. After leaving, this body died. And he had to die a little more vigorously. He had to use death to achieve some goals. Occasionally, he would secretly observe. Wang Tiandong's missing person notice only described his appearance, holding a child. There was not even a photo. He was probably afraid that a photo would cause trouble. However, the sender did not have a photo. After so many years in the basement, he had not taken a photo. It was impossible to find him with this missing person notice. Around the neighborhood, he used his spiritual force to scan and found that Wang Tiandong slept in the basement every day, crying while holding the quilt. He looked so pitiful and desperate. The despair of being abandoned. Wang Tiandong's feelings for Ning Shu were not love, but the kind of fantasy. It was a psychological cue planted by Ning Shu. Now Wang Tiandong's pain was because his illusion was shattered. How beautiful he thought at the beginning, how cruel the reality was. If he did not have it, it would be fine. If he had it, even if it was fake, it was real for Wang Tiandong. Now that he had lost it, it was as painful as digging out the flesh of his body and removing the bone and flesh. It was forcefully peeled off. /BK. Chapter 3266. After more than a month, Ning Shu didn't appear, and no police came. Gradually, Wang Tiandong gave up. If she really called the police, then the police would definitely come early in the morning. But a month had passed, and there was no news. No news was good news. Something must have happened. Maybe it was. Maybe she didn't dare to call the police and didn't want this matter to be exposed. She said that she didn't want to embarrass herself. Wang Tiandong even sneaked near the client's house and observed the client's family to make sure that they didn't go back. Wang Tiandong was at a loss. He didn't know how to live. He didn't have a wife or a child. They all disappeared. He was in pain. He was betrayed and deceived. They said that they would live together. Ning Shu followed behind. When he saw that Wang Tiandong actually went to the client's house, he couldn't help but narrow his eyes to hide the emotions in them. Wang Tiandong couldn't be left alive. He might even bring disaster to the client's family. Her family didn't know that such a person was secretly watching them. Maybe Wang Tiandong would have the guts to do something evil and do something to destroy the family. This kind of thing wasn't unheard of. There was a man who killed his father-in-law's family because of a divorce, just because his father-in-law's family agreed to the divorce. The man felt that it was his father-in-law's family who separated him and his wife, so he wanted to take revenge. He was very vengeful. Now that Wang Tiandong was suffering from the pain of being deceived and seemed to have been expelled from the school, a little provocation might cause the spark to burn into a big fire. Moreover, Wang Tiandong actually knew the client's home address. This was a very dangerous thing. Therefore, Ning Shu didn't plan to delay any longer. Ning Shu followed behind Wang Tiandong. When Wang Tiandong opened the door, Ning Shu stretched out his leg and kicked Wang Tiandong's calf. Wang Tiandong turned around. When he saw Ning Shu, he had a look of realization on his face. His expression was one of disbelief. He probably thought that he was dreaming. Ning Shu walked into the room. Wang Tiandong hurriedly entered the room and pinched his thigh. Instantly, the pain spread out. In order to prove that he wasn't dreaming, he used a lot of force. It was not a dream. Wang Tiandong's heart was filled with great surprise, followed by monstrous anger. He roared at Ning Shu, "Where have you been? Do you know that I have been looking for you?" Ning Shu nodded indifferently. "Of course I know you're looking for me." Wang Tiandong suddenly held his breath. He couldn't breathe and his face turned green. You? Wang Tiandong asked excitedly, but in the end, the other party didn't know his mistake at all. He acted as if it was only natural for him to do so. This made Wang Tiandong so angry that his liver hurt. "Where's the child?" The child? Wang Tiandong realized that something was missing. It turned out that the woman was not holding the child. Ning Shu spread his hands and said, "I left the child to someone else. You don't have to worry." Wang Tiandong was about to explode. He roared, "Who are you going to hand her over to? That's my child. What right do you have to hand her over to someone else?" That was the child that he had taken care of with all his might. He had taken care of the child's food, drink, and defecate. He had taken care of the child until the child could babble now. Hand it over to someone else? Wang Tiandong was flustered and exasperated. During this time, his worry, fear, and despair turned into anger. He picked up the chair next to him and threw it at Ning Shu. "Bitch will always be a bitch. You're such an ungrateful wretch. I'm going to kill you." Wang Tiandong lifted the chair and threw it at Ning Shu. In fact, he was relieved that she was back. It was just that the worry and fear from before had now turned into anger. It was like a parent hitting a child because of fear. Ning Shu would not let Wang Tiandong hit him now. "Don't even think about touching him." She avoided the chair and directly stunned Wang Tiandong with her spiritual power. Wang Tiandong felt a sharp pain in his head and then he lost consciousness. With a thud, the chair fell to the ground. Fortunately, this was the first floor. Even if there was any noise, people downstairs could not hear it. Ning Shu stretched out his foot and kicked Wang Tiandong. Wang Tiandong was like a dead dog and did not respond at all. Ning Shu dragged Wang Tiandong to the basement, opened the chain, and directly buckled Wang Tiandong's ankle. Wang Tiandong had detained the client like this before, and now he was detained like this. So that Wang Tiandong would not monitor the client's family every day. And the client's family did not know anything. They did not know that such a dangerous person was watching their home. Since Wang Tiandong liked the basement so much, he could stay in the basement until he died. Ning Shu went out of the basement and cooked a lot of delicious food for himself. After eating, he pulled a chair to the basement and sat down to wait for Wang Tiandong to wake up. Wang Tiandong was in a coma for half a day. When he woke up, his head was very painful. He rubbed his head and sat up. The light in the basement was dim. Wang Tiandong saw Ning Shu sitting by the bed. He was still in a daze and did not know what was going on. He moved his body, and the chain on his feet made a clanking sound. Wang Tiandong was stunned for a moment. He grabbed the chain and quivered. It seemed that his soul had returned to his body. "What are you doing? Why did you lock me up?" Wang Tiandong rubbed the key on his body. Ning Shu took out the key. "It's with me." Wang Tiandong stretched out his hand to grab the key. Ning Shu avoided his hand and said, "You seem to like the basement very much. Then I will fulfill your wish." Wang Tiandong was shocked and angry. Ning Shu shouted, "What are you doing? Hurry up and let me go." Wang Tiandong was a little desperate. In order to prevent her from escaping, he made this kind of chain. It was inlaid on the wall and cast with cement. It was impossible to break the chain with human strength. "What do you want to do?" Wang Tiandong looked at Ning Shu. "Don't I treat you well? I do everything according to you. How can you treat me like this?" Ning Shu was speechless. It seemed that Wang Tiandong was very wronged. And he was really wronged. Betrayal and humiliation filled his eyes. Wronged? What was there to feel wronged about? He did not care about her wishes and forcefully imprisoned her here. He even violated her. If you feel wronged, wouldn't others feel wronged too? Ning Shu put the key ring on his finger and spun it. You want the key? Come and get it. Why are you doing this to me? I hate you. I treat you so well, but what about you? Ning Shu smiled and said, It's okay. I will return the kindness you treat me well. You locked me up in the basement with my ankles cuffed. I will do the same to you. I'll return all the kindness you've shown me. Please look forward to it. Ning Shu smiled and winked at Wang Tiandong. She gave off a charming and naughty feeling. Chapter 3267. She had the playfulness and cuteness that a girl should have. Any man would like a woman to smile at him like that. It was very charming and cute, as if she was acting coquettishly. But Wang Tiandong was not in the mood to appreciate this at all. A woman who tied him up and locked him up, and then smiled at him coquettishly. It really made people feel a chill down their spine and numb all over their body. Wang Tiandong dragged the chain and wanted to snatch the key in Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu held the rotating key in his palm and avoided Wang Tiandong. Because of the chain, Wang Tiandong could only move within a certain range. He could not reach Ning Shu at all. He could only bare his fangs and brandish his claws, but he could not get close to Ning Shu at all. Ning Shu put the key away and said to Wang Tiandong, Be good and wait for me to bring you some food to eat. What do you want to eat? Wang Tiandong was not in the mood to eat. Although he was angry, his tone was pleading. If you want to let me go, let's talk about it. The feeling of being tied up was not good. Although he locked her up, he tried to satisfy her in other aspects. What else was she not satisfied with? What did she mean now? Was she taking revenge on him? Ning Shu said, Don't worry, I will take good care of you. I will try my best to satisfy you. Wang Tiandong, I know you are angry that I tied you up, but you promised me that you would live well and take the child back. Let's let this matter pass, okay? I will make it up to you. Wang Tiandong's head was throbbing, and his blood vessels seemed to be about to explode. Ning Shu shook his head and said, I won't be angry. I will only torture you to death. Wang Tiandong was happy. It's good that you are not angry. Let me go. Ning Shu felt that Wang Tiandong's brain had been kicked by a donkey. You think that it is not good to stay in the basement, but others have stayed there for many years and suffered. When others were locked up, they felt that the basement was nothing. But when you were locked up, you wanted to be released. Dream on. Ning Shu said, Since you feel that it is not a problem to live in the basement, then live here. I will take good care of you. Ning Shu turned around and went out of the basement. He locked the door, isolating Wang Tiandong's roar from the inside. After that, Ning Shu gave Wang Tiandong leftovers every day. They were all leftover soup and water. They were all mixed into a bowl and were carried to the basement. Ning Shu put the sloppy-looking food in front of Wang Tiandong and said, Eat. Wang Tiandong looked at the hogwash and asked, You're giving me this? Ning Shu said, Only this. Otherwise, you won't even be able to eat this in the future. I'm not very good at cooking. Wang Tiandong looked at the food and couldn't swallow it. He tried to curry favor with Ning Shu and said, Why don't you let me go? I'll cook for you. Ning Shu rested her chin on her hand and smiled sweetly. If I let you go, I'll be the one locked up in the basement. No, as long as you don't leave here, you don't have to live in the basement. Wang Tiandong just wanted to untie the chains on his feet. The chains rubbed against his skin until it was red and painful. And during the time she left, she didn't call the police or go home, which meant that she wouldn't call the police. In fact, she cared about him in her heart, but she was too angry about what happened before. Wang Tiandong's heart relaxed a little. I know you're angry. I'll definitely treat you well in the future. Really, I swear. Ning Shu, you're dead. Ning Shu, okay, stay here. He thought she was angry and joking. He would know in the future if she was joking. Wang Tiandong was very satisfied. He thought that Ning Shu would let him go after a while, but she didn't. He ate leftovers every day. Sometimes it was a little rancid. He applied to change it to something more fragrant, but the application was invalid. Eat it or not. If not, forget it. Wang Tiandong had no choice. He was so hungry that he could only eat. After eating, his stomach felt uncomfortable, and then the whole basement smelled bad. The basement, which was considered clean before, was now dirty and smelly. The bedsheets hadn't been changed for a long time, and the floor wasn't sprinkled with lime. The bedding became a little wet, and Wang Tiandong didn't take a shower, so the bedding became a little black. Wang Tiandong applied to change the bedding, and then poured out the dirty things in the toilet bowl. It was too smelly, too suffocating. But Ning Shu didn't approve, and let the basement become a dirty place. Wang Tiandong was unkempt, like a beggar in a garbage dump. It was unbearably smelly. After a long time, Wang Tiandong gradually realized that the other party wasn't lying. She let him rot in the basement. She didn't feel sorry for him at all. She smiled coquettishly, and her smile made people shiver. She wanted to take revenge on him. Wang Tiandong scolded Ning Shu, and then begged him. He was in the same state as the previous client. He looked at Ning Shu with eyes full of fear and hatred. Ning Shu wore a mask and looked at Wang Tiandong indifferently. He turned a deaf ear to Wang Tiandong's words. Wang Tiandong knelt down with a plop. His ankles had been worn by the chain, and scabbed over and over again. His ankles were always bleeding. "Can you let me out? I was wrong. I will treat you well in the future, and I won't lock you in the basement anymore." Wang Tiandong really couldn't stand such days. There was no light and the stench filled the air. He ate pig food and wished he could die. Ning Shu chuckled. How long had it been, and he couldn't stand it anymore. It hadn't even been half a year. The client had been suffering for more than 10 years. Before Ning Shu came, she had also endured 5 or 6 years of such suffering. Ning Shu's voice carried a smile. "Don't be like this. How long has it been? When the time is up, I will definitely let you out." Wang Tiandong was in despair. His voice was bitter. "Then when can you let me out?" After making a fuss, scolding, and sometimes fighting, he was beaten even worse. It was hard to imagine that a woman could have so much strength to beat a man like him until he cried out in pain. So now, Wang Tiandong didn't dare to fight with Ning Shu at all. Sometimes, he hoped that Ning Shu would beat him up badly. Just like in the past, everything would be fine after a beating, and the matter would be resolved. But now, she wouldn't fight back unless he fought back. If she could beat him hysterically and scold him, there might be hope. But she was always smiling, looking especially youthful and beautiful. But the more she was like this, the more Wang Tiandong felt uncertain and afraid. He was worried that he would be locked in the basement forever. He begged, "I still have to go to work. Can you let me out? Without money, how are we going to live?" "Ning Shu, weren't you fired? Why are you still working?" Chapter 3268. You're going to be expelled. You're not being honest. Wang Tiandong was speechless. He really had no other way. She was stubborn. He was so good to her. Wang Tiandong was in deep despair. He didn't know what to do. In the end, Wang Tiandong looked at Ning Shu with a blank face. His eyes were full of despair. Ning Shu felt that he had stayed in this world for long enough. It was time to leave. Wang Tiandong didn't have a human shape now. He was skinny and the basement smelled so bad that it was suffocating. Wang Tiandong lived like an animal. The hope in his heart was gradually obliterated, bit by bit. This person left and appeared and left again, torturing Wang Tiandong's heart to pieces. He wanted to die but didn't dare to. He just endured it. Ning Shu walked in front of Wang Tiandong and looked at him. Wang Tiandong's leg was infected. Because the basement was dirty and damp, the wound was infected. Wang Tiandong always tried to struggle. Regardless, the wound was always infected. His whole leg was swollen and flowing with pus. It emitted a stench, which made the basement smell even more suffocating. Wang Tiandong's face was dark and covered with a layer of dust. He raised his eyes and looked at Ning Shu. His eyes were bloodshot. His eyeballs were chapped and full of cracks. He said in a hoarse voice, "How are you going to torture me?" Ning Shu shook his head and said, "No, this time you are really free." He raised his head abruptly, and his stiff neck made a cracking sound. His heart, which had been dead silent, suddenly started to beat. "You are going to let me go?" There was no hope, but the woman suddenly said that she was going to let him go. It gave Wang Tiandong hope. Ning Shu took out the key and threw it in the corner. It was a distance that Wang Tiandong couldn't reach. Wang Tiandong looked at Ning Shu in shock. He couldn't help but ask, "What are you going to do?" Ning Shu shrugged and said, "I said, you are free. I threw the key over there. You won't be able to reach it unless you chop off your own leg to break free from the chains." Wang Tiandong's heart was numb. He knew it would be like this. What freedom! It was clearly torture. Cutting off one's own leg. Although the leg was injured now, no one could calmly cut off their own limbs. Even if they didn't have money, they still had to cherish their limbs and facial features. Wang Tiandong looked at the key lying quietly on the ground. At this distance, it was simply impossible to reach it. He could only look at the key, but he couldn't get it. This person was truly vicious, and extremely cruel. If he wanted to leave, he would have to chop off his own leg. How was he supposed to choose? "You will die a horrible death." Ning Shu said, "I won't die." Even if his will was gone, he could still be reborn and start anew. It was equivalent to him being able to reincarnate indefinitely. "No, I won't die. I'm going to die right in front of you." Ning Shu spoke of death casually, as if it was a game. Either she was crazy, or he was crazy. Ning Shu said again, "That's right. If I die, no one will send you food. You will starve to death in the basement. But there's still another kind of food." Wang Tiandong blankly moved his eyeballs, indicating that he was listening. Ning Shu smiled brightly, "That is, my corpse." Wang Tiandong's pupils shrunk. He was probably frightened by Ning Shu's madness. If you chop off your own leg and get the key, you can open the chains. If you can't bear to part with your leg, then you can only be chained and eat my corpse to survive. But sooner or later, you will finish eating my corpse. After eating my corpse, you will chop off my leg. Wouldn't that be a loss? These words were really challenging Wang Tiandong's psychological endurance. He never knew that this woman was so perverted. Yes, she was perverted. How could she be so perverted as to say such words casually? This made Wang Tiandong's heart very afraid. Wang Tiandong said in despair, "Can you stop messing around?" Moreover, Wang Tiandong did not believe that she would really die like this. He could not even bear to part with his leg. He did not believe that she would be willing to part with her life. Ning Shu curiously asked, "What's your choice? Am I going to starve to death or chop off my leg?" Wang Tiandong was somewhat frightened. He looked at this girl. Her charming face was filled with curiosity. She was like a naive girl, curiously looking at him, waiting for his answer. If it was an ordinary matter, then it would be fine. But it had to be this kind of question. So perverted. Ning Shu saw that Wang Tiandong did not speak. "Well, this is a very difficult choice. In order for you to be able to eat my corpse, I have to be closer to death. My corpse won't be able to be eaten for long. It will be hard in a day. In 4 or 5 days, it will start to rot. You have to think carefully. Good luck." Ning Shu laughed at Wang Tiandong. The laughter made Wang Tiandong feel uncomfortable. He wanted to see how she would die. Ning Shu said to the system, "You can leave the world now." The system said, "The client is not satisfied. Don't worry, there's still more. The things after I leave are more interesting." Ning Shu said. The system thought for a moment and said, "If you come back now, you might have less soul power." Ning Shu said, "It's okay. I'll leave now." The system took away Ning Shu's soul. Without the support of the soul, the body softly fell to the ground. Wang Tiandong was shocked. She fainted for no reason? He touched her body. It was warm. He checked her breath. There was no breath. Wang Tiandong did not dare to believe. How could a person suddenly die? She died just like that. He kept his finger under the corpse's nose for a long time. A normal person could not breathe for so long. Moreover, her body was slowly cooling down. Wang Tiandong curled up in the corner and stared at the corpse in horror. She was dead. She was dead. Wang Tiandong cried and laughed. He did not feel relaxed at all. Logically speaking, this woman tortured him like this. He should be happy that she was dead. However, Wang Tiandong was in so much pain and despair that his whole body trembled. He bit his hand and whimpered. Being in the same room with a corpse was too horrifying. Even if this woman was with him day and night, disappointment was something that all living things feared. 1 day, 2 days. Wang Tiandong looked at the motionless corpse. She was really dead. Unbelievable. It must be fake. How could a person be dead just like that? Wang Tiandong was dizzy from hunger. He had not eaten for 2 days. There was nothing to eat in the basement. There was not even a sip of water. There was dirty water in the toilet. The only food left was this corpse. Chapter 3269. Wang Tiandong was so hungry that he was dizzy. He hadn't eaten for 2 days. His mouth was dry and his body was weak. He didn't even have any leftovers to eat. He tried his best to open his eyes. What he saw was a corpse. In the past 2 days, the body hadn't moved at all. Its posture hadn't changed at all. The skin began to turn gray. A pair of eyes stared at him. The corner of the mouth had a faint smile. As time passed, the body began to stiffen. The smile on the face became even more strange. After the body stiffened, it would slowly soften and then start to rot. Wang Tiandong was so hungry. This was the only thing he could eat. Did he really have to eat it? Just living with a body day and night was scary enough. If he really had to eat it now, he couldn't. It was too challenging. Wang Tiandong's psychological bottom line. The same kind of body. But if he didn't eat it, he could only starve to death. But there was another way. He could cut off his own leg, unlock the chains, and get the key to leave. How to choose? Wang Tiandong felt like he was going crazy. She was really a pervert. She came up with such a vicious idea. Whether it was losing a leg or eating the body in front of him, it was equally hard to accept. Wang Tiandong wanted to kill himself, but he didn't have any courage to do so. The hunger in his stomach made him want to eat everything that could be eaten. The wriggling in his stomach made his empty stomach ache. Despair, it was really despair. Now, Wang Tiandong had a taste of what it felt like to be locked up and tortured day after day. Wang Tiandong understood more and more that she wouldn't forgive him. Because he had encountered these things, he had already cut her into pieces in his heart. What to do? Eat or cut off his own leg. In ancient times, people would exchange children for food. It was normal for him to eat. When people were hungry, they could do anything. Wang Tiandong slowly crawled over and touched the body lying on the ground. The body was cold. It seemed like a chill was transmitted through his fingertips to the body. It made Wang Tiandong shiver. He was very hungry, but he didn't know where to start. No one would come to save him. If he hadn't been expelled, the school would be suspicious if he didn't go to class. But now he had been expelled. Because Wang Tiandong was an honest man, he didn't have much contact with the people around him. Especially during the years when he imprisoned the client, he didn't have much contact with others. She never brought anyone to her house, for fear that someone would discover something. He had no friends and his family was no longer around. All of these had become his death sentence. Wang Tiandong grabbed his fingers. The lower part of his body was easier to attack. The blood in his body should have started to rot by now. But now, Wang Tiandong couldn't care less. He was too hungry and bit his finger. A putrid smell of blood permeated the air. Wang Tiandong couldn't eat anymore and spat it out. If he ate this, he wouldn't be far from death. Wang Tiandong looked at her swollen leg. The pain in her leg had been tormenting her. If he really broke his leg and got the key to get out, he might be saved. However, to forcibly break his own leg, how much courage did it require? It was no less than eating the corpse in front of him. Wang Tiandong picked up the knife. She had left this for him in advance. She was afraid that he didn't have the tools, so she prepared it for him. She also said that he could use this to chop up the body and eat it. The more Wang Tiandong thought about it, the more disgusted he felt. He spat out yellow water and finally blood. He raised the knife and slashed at his ankle with his eyes closed. When he slashed, he couldn't cut it off. After a few more slashes, The wound was messy. One of his legs had been separated from his body, and the chain had also been broken. Wang Tiandong was in so much pain that he almost fainted. His whole body was drenched in cold sweat and his eyes were bloodshot. He endured the pain and crawled toward the key. Blood gushed out of the wound and he fainted. Wang Tiandong felt very cold. As the blood left his body, he became hungrier and colder. His mind became more and more fuzzy. He felt the key and was overjoyed. He could finally get out. He climbed up the stairs and felt for the key on the wooden board. He tried a few times but couldn't insert the key into the keyhole. Wang Tiandong shook his head and tried a few times before he could insert the key. He twisted it with all his strength but found that it wouldn't budge at all. It wouldn't budge. The key was wrong. This wasn't the key to unlock the door. He had been deceived. He had mustered up a lot of courage and cut off his leg. However, he didn't expect that the key was wrong. He had lost his leg and couldn't go out. Wang Tiandong shouted with all his strength, "You lied to me! You lied to me!" Wang Tiandong's body erupted with a huge amount of strength. He crawled to the side of the corpse. He raised the knife and madly slashed at the motionless corpse. "Bitch, bitch! I was so good to you. Why did you play with me like this? Bitch, bitch!" Wang Tiandong angrily cursed as he crazily slashed. Blood splashed out. But his body didn't feel anything. Wang Tiandong was tired. Gradually, despair and unwillingness took over his heart. His heart's hope was broken again and again. Time and time again he paid with his leg. But this woman lied to him. Now, she deliberately died in front of him. His last hope was gone. He was going to starve to death in the basement. Even if he didn't starve to death, the blood from the wound was enough to make his situation worse. Originally, his leg was infected. Now that he had cut off his leg, it accelerated the infection. From the beginning to the end, that woman didn't want to let him out. He had been so good to her. What deep hatred could she not let go of? Even if she had been imprisoned by him for so many years, he had never treated her in such a fierce way. He had never forced her to stomp her foot, never refused to give her food, and never died in front of her and gave her the wrong key. This woman was too vicious. Too perverted. How could a person be so perverted? Was she not afraid of death? Wang Tiandong felt that his blood was about to run out. At this moment he didn't feel hungry. His whole body was warm. He knew that this was the final radiance of the setting sun. Soon he would die. Wang Tiandong cried and fell beside the unrecognizable corpse. "Why did you do this to me? I will be very good to you. I'm sorry, but I'm already trying my best to make up for it." Couldn't they live a good life? Child. Right, where was the child? He couldn't see the child anymore. Soft body, pure smile. That was the child he took care of wholeheartedly. This woman was too vicious. She had broken something that was originally beautiful and fragmented it into pieces. Why did he have to use such an extreme method to destroy something beautiful? /BK. Chapter 3271. Moreover, earthworms instinctively yearned for things because they needed them. The earthworm coughed and said proudly, "All right then." Zhu Jun said, "Can it do it? It's so small." The earthworm was unhappy. "Why can't I? I can also become very big." Ning Shu nodded. Yes, it can transform. When he first met the earthworm, its body was very big. Later on, it had always been small. Zhu Jun was speechless. "All right, you guys win." Ning Shu threw the merit grain to the earthworm. It jumped up and bit the merit grain with its mouth and swallowed it. However, the merit grain was not easy to digest. Ning Shu said to Zhu Jun, "Tell it how to take care of the child later." Zhu Jun was speechless. He really couldn't imagine letting a loach take care of a human child. Could it really take care of it? However, Zhu Jun didn't raise any more questions. Since there was someone who could take care of the child, he was relieved. Not long after taking care of the child, Zhu Jun already felt terrible. He cried when something happened and when nothing happened. He cried until he grew up. Zhu Jun would rather go fight than take care of the child. Now that someone was taking over, Zhu Jun explained in detail how to take care of the baby, whether it was cold or hot, hungry or pooping. These were all experiences that Zhu Jun summarized after being tortured. When the earthworm heard that torture was troublesome, it immediately wanted to go back on its word. It wasn't so troublesome when it took care of Liren in the past. The earthworm said, "It's so troublesome. Forget it, I'll give up." Ning Shu stretched out his hand. "Return the merit grain to me." The earthworm went back on its word. "It's already in my stomach. It's mine. Do you really want me to spit it out? It's very disgusting." Ning Shu said, "I can even pick up money in the toilet. What's the point of pulling out the merit grain from your vomit?" The earthworm said, "You're so disgusting." Alright, I'll take care of it." The earthworm expanded its body into the shape of a big snake and began to practice doing things with its flexible tail. It boiled water, made milk powder, wrapped the milk bottle with its tail and shook it vigorously. It also used its tail to change the child's diapers. In the beginning it was very clumsy. Ning Shu planned to stay and take care of the child for a while. After all, he had taken 10% of the child's mother's soul power. Ning Shu would occasionally wander into more modern societies to get some milk powder and diapers for the children. When Earthworm was able to take care of the child alone, Ning Shu left. He would come to see the child when he was free. Ning Shu felt that Earthworm was gifted in taking care of children. Now, she was very familiar with it. She could even use her tail to sway the child and coax her to sleep with a snort. Well, at the beginning, the earthworm refused to take care of the two-legged monster's baby, but now it doesn't matter. His mouth said no, but his body was honest. When the child cried, he immediately crawled over and rocked the stroller. The system's voice rang out. "The main system now requests you to go over and process the star rock." Ning Shu nodded. "Alright, I got it." Back then, there was an agreement that the star stones still had to be dealt with. Moreover, if they did it, they would be paid 20% more. Ning Shu built a space channel and went to the place where the plane was broken. There were many fragments floating in the air. Grand Uncle was dealing with the fragments. When he saw Ning Shu coming, he directly threw the item to Ning Shu. Ning Shu took the item and began to process the star stones. He asked Grand Uncle, "Who will take over later?" Grand Uncle said lightly, "Someone will take over." Ning Shu rolled his eyes. "The city is full of tricks. I want to go back to the countryside." Grand Uncle said, "The countryside doesn't want dogs. Please go back." Ning Shu rolled his eyes so hard that his eyeballs couldn't be seen. After Ning Shu took over, Grand Uncle left again. He was probably busy with something again. Ning Shu felt that many people were staring at him while he was processing the star stones. There was the Great Gate Planet. Seeing the Great Gate Planet, the corners of Ning Shu's mouth curled up. He sped up processing the star stones. After a while, the star stones were all processed. Then Ning Shu walked toward the Great Gate Planet. The Great Gate Planet looked at Ning Shu without any change in expression. Before Ning Shu could speak, the system's voice sounded. "Calm down. Don't cause trouble in front of so many people." Ning Shu was speechless. Therefore, the system had actually given her a golden hoop spell, which she would recite whenever she was free. Ning Shu said, "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just here to say hello." However, the system didn't believe a word of Ning Shu's words. From this mission, the system had more or less understood the character of this mission enforcer. He would seek revenge for the smallest grievance and his methods were special, so when the system saw Ning Shu like this, it immediately reminded him, "Don't cause trouble in front of so many people." Ning Shu said helplessly, "I really won't cause trouble." As she spoke, she took out the holy whip. The system asked, "Then why are you taking out the whip?" Ning Shu said, "I'm just showing off my whip." They didn't want the whip. Now that the whip was in her hands, how uncomfortable would they feel? The system was speechless. What was this unsettling trick for? If others saw the whip, they would think that she was provoking them. The Great Gate Planet was on guard when he saw Ning Shu take out the whip. Ning Shu looked at the Great Gate Planet and asked, "Do you think my whip looks good?" The Great Gate Planet was speechless. What the hell? The Great Gate Planet hadn't expected to meet Ning Shu here. Hadn't she heard that he had left the organization? Why was he here now? However, It was good that he was in the organization. After leaving the organization, he didn't know where to look. He focused on the Holy Whip. He wasn't afraid that she would cause trouble. If she did, it would be best if he could get the Holy Whip. Ning Shu said, "I'm asking you, does my whip look good?" The Great Gate Planet didn't know what Ning Shu meant and didn't say anything. Ning Shu said, "I'm asking you, does my whip look good?" The Great Gate Planet was speechless. Ning Shu said, "Are you looking down on me? I'm asking you sincerely, but you don't say a word. What do you mean?" The Great Gate Planet said casually, "It looks good." Ning Shu nodded. "I think it looks good too." She kept waving the whip in front of the Great Gate Planet. When the others saw Ning Shu holding the whip, it seemed like a conflict was about to break out. They all stopped what they were doing and looked at Ning Shu and the Great Gate Star. Ning Shu said, "Don't worry about us. Hurry up and work. We're waiting to connect to the plane. I'm chatting with the Great Gate Planet." Although the bosses around them were nice, they couldn't stop what they were doing. After all, there were many broken planes waiting to be dealt with. They didn't have much time to waste. The Great Gate Planet looked at Ning Shu coldly and said in a low voice, "What do you want?" Ning Shu said, "I want to chat with you about the whip. /BK." Chapter 3272. Talk about the whip. This guy was doing it on purpose. The Great Gate Star was not afraid of Ning Shu knowing about it. The Great Gate Star looked at Ning Shu and said, "Okay, then let's talk about the Holy Whip." Ning Shu said, "Then I'll ask you sincerely. What is the Holy Whip? Why do you want it so badly? The more you want it, the more you won't give it." The Great Gate Star said, "This is a primitive treasure in the void. As time goes by, this kind of treasure will continue to grow and grow consciousness. So, if you feel that it's too hot to hold, then hand it over. This kind of thing shouldn't be held by you." Ning Shu touched the whip. "If you say so, then I won't go home and hand it over. I didn't expect you to give me such a good thing. Thank you." The Great Gate Star took a deep breath. Ning Shu asked again, "How did this kind of thing fall into the hands of Child Ronghua?" It was not that Ning Shu looked down on Child Ronghua, but Child Ronghua's strength was not enough to hold such a thing. Moreover, Child Ronghua's faction gave such a thing to him. Was Child Ronghua the illegitimate son of the faction's leader? The Great Gate Star said coldly, "Child Ronghua has a purpose." Ning Shu touched his chin. "Then there is only one reason. Since it's a primitive treasure, it must need someone to nourish it. It was given to Child Ronghua to nourish it." The Great Gate Star looked at Ning Shu and didn't say anything. Obviously, he agreed. So, he had to thank Child Ronghua, the temporary owner of the treasure, for giving him such a big gift. Ning Shu held the whip and felt more and more that this was a good thing. It was the first time he had heard of a primitive treasure in the void. The thing in her hand was hers. "I advise you to hand it over. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences." The Great Gate Star threatened. Ning Shu smiled and said, "It's okay, I can take it. My shoulders are quite strong, but I don't know if my body is strong enough to withstand the power of the whip." The Great Gate Planet looked vigilant. Ning Shu's system voice sounded again. "Dear, don't cause trouble. Don't cause trouble in front of so many people. Everyone saw that you were the one who caused trouble for the Great Gate Planet. You are the one who is unreasonable." "Ning Shu, I said to cause trouble immediately. Why is it that I'm causing trouble when I'm looking for someone? Why do you think I'm causing trouble?" The system said. "I guess the main system told me that you're always causing trouble." "Ning Shu, this is a serious personal attack. How can the main system slander me like this?" The system, he didn't know how to respond to that. The Great Gate Planet stared at the whip. "I'm giving you a sincere suggestion. This isn't something you can hold. The judge's gun is an innate treasure. Is it suitable for you to hold something of this level?" "Ning Shu, it's suitable. Why wouldn't it be suitable?" "Why wouldn't I be suitable? You think I'm not suitable because I'm not strong enough." He kept saying that she wasn't suitable to hold this thing. "Why don't we fight? Let's see if I'm suitable to use this thing." The Great Gate Planet said, "Are you sure you want to fight here?" Ning Shu immediately took a step back and shouted in horror, "What are you doing? What are you trying to do? You want to fight? I'm warning you, I'm going to fight back." Ning Shu's screams attracted the attention of the people around him. Everyone's eyes turned to look at them. The Great Gate Planet's face trembled. Shameless. The Great Gate Planet couldn't help but say. He had never seen someone like this. "Are you still a woman? Ning Shu, I'm telling you, don't even think about taking what's mine." He put the whip behind his back and looked at the Great Gate Planet warily. "We've picked up all the fragments. Hurry up and deal with the star stones. Hurry up." Someone came out to stop the fight. Ning Shu looked at the Great Gate Planet warily and started melting the star stones. He glanced at the Great Gate Planet warily. The Great Gate Planet, damn it. Now everyone thought he was going to snatch the thing. This thing was clearly theirs, but now everyone thought he was snatching it. Next, they would go to the next place where the plane was broken. Ning Shu and the Great Gate Star tacitly walked at the back. They dilly-dallied until everyone had left. Ning Shu took out the whip and wrapped it around the Great Gate Planet. He jumped into the void in an instant. The Great Gate Planet broke free from Ning Shu's whip. He knew that this person was here to cause trouble. Ning Shu looked sad. "You can't snatch my whip. There's no one here. Why are you pretending to be a white lotus?" The Great Gate Planet said coldly. Ning Shu smiled. "I'm not pretending. I'm a white lotus." The Great Gate Planet took out his weapon. It was a giant battle axe. As soon as this axe appeared, it fluctuated with special energy. It looked like a good weapon. Ning Shu held the whip. He was full of expectations for this whip. Not bad, not bad. If he nurtured this whip well in the future, it might become his personal magic weapon in the future. It was simply awesome. Everyone saw that only the two people didn't come. They all had a tacit understanding. "Let's go take a look." "Okay, let's go take a look." It would be a fool not to watch the fun. The plane here is waiting to be dealt with. What are you afraid of? Even if something happens, it's the responsibility of those two people. It was those two people who were causing trouble and wasting everyone's time. Everyone came to the void and saw the girl being chased around by the Great Gate Planet. She covered her head and ran like a rat. As she ran, she shouted, "Don't even think about snatching my things." The Great Gate Planet was almost angered to death. He was the one who was whipped by this girl. His soul power was sucked away, and it was very painful. It was very painful. But she was also very slippery. She would hide far away. But his weapon needed to be close to the enemy. Ning Shu shouted pitifully, "This whip is mine. Don't even think about snatching it." Everyone had watched enough. They all went up to stop the fight. The Great Gate Planet suffered in the hands of Ning Shu. He was angry. Although someone came to stop the fight, the anger in his heart was not small. Ning Shu put away the whip. He felt that the Great Gate Planet's soul power was very strong. He felt that the whip had absorbed a lot of soul power. Ning Shu took advantage of the fact that someone came to stop the fight. He shouted, "I'm telling you, this whip is mine. Don't even think about snatching it." Everyone could see that Ning Shu was cowardly in appearance, modest and timid. The Great Gate Planet was about to explode. He was the one who suffered, but he couldn't say it out loud. Could he say that his soul power was sucked away? And the God-beating whip was very painful. The God-beating whip was something that even immortals could whip, let alone the soul. The soul being whipped was more painful than the body. Not everyone had the opportunity to have a strong soul. Chapter 3273. It was not easy to obtain something like the kidney-strengthening fruit. After suffering such a big loss, the giant gate star was unhappy. More importantly, the people around him had misunderstood that he was bullying others. If they pursued the matter, it would be his fault. He was the one who wanted to snatch things from others. Stop fooling around. Hurry up and deal with the broken plane. Ning Shu glared at the giant gate star and followed the large group to the place where the plane had been broken. During this process, Ning Shu looked at the giant gate star cautiously, as if he were afraid that the giant gate star would suddenly rush over. The giant gate star was unhappy. After completing the number of fragments, he left. Before leaving, he took a deep look at Ning Shu. That look was obviously waiting. Fine, he would wait. Upon seeing the giant gate star leave, Ning Shu let out a long sigh of relief. In the eyes of outsiders, he was very afraid of the giant gate star. Ning Shu really wanted to shake it. The god-beating whip was really a sharp weapon that restrained souls. It was especially harmful to souls. If anyone bullied her in the future, he would whip them. After dealing with it more than 100 times, Ning Shu applied to change shifts with the main system. It was almost time. This time, the shift was changed very quickly. The person who came to take over the shift came very quickly. Ning Shu was still not used to it. He was used to the main system dragging its feet. This time, someone came so quickly. He was not used to it. Since someone had come to change shifts, Ning Shu hurriedly left. More than 100 times meant more than 12 million merit points, which was enough for the skeletons to eat for a long time. When he was short of money, he would have merit points and money by dealing with some star stones. The person who changed shifts was the woman in purple. To be honest, Ning Shu was a little surprised to see her. From the person in charge of Zone B to the person who dealt with the star stones, her position had been demoted very quickly. The woman in purple said, "I'm here to change shifts. You can go." Ning Shu nodded. "Okay, I'll go then. By the way, aren't you going to the void now?" The woman in purple said, "There's no need to go for the time being. After all, we found one. It's enough to deal with the emergency." Ning Shu nodded and asked, "Does that mean we have to find another one in the future?" The woman in purple replied, "Of course I'm going." It was a holiday period. Ning Shu left and made a trip to Water City. She wanted to see if Zhang Jiasen was still running a restaurant in Water City. Most likely not. Ning Shu was the first to arrive at Zhang Jiasen's restaurant, which was still open. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. This was a little strange. Zhang Jiasen still dared to open it now? Ning Shu walked into the restaurant, sat down and asked, "Who's your boss? Male or female?" The waiter said, "It's a woman." "A woman? Wasn't it a man?" Zhang Jiasen gave the shop to someone else. "The boss is here," the waiter said. Ning Shu looked upstairs and was surprised to see Shu Bai. Shu Bai also saw Ning Shu. She was stunned for a moment before she walked down the stairs. Shu Bai sat opposite Ning Shu. "What does the city lord want to eat?" Ning Shu said, "I'm no longer the city lord. You don't have to call me city lord. You opened this restaurant." Shu Bai shook her head and said, "No, this restaurant is being sold, so I bought it." Ning Shu smiled slightly. "Is that so? What's good? Bring it up and let me have a taste. By the way, congratulations on your business getting bigger and bigger." He had opened 2 restaurants in a city of laws. As for the discord, Ning Shu was too lazy to think about it. Of course, it had something to do with Shu Bai. Shu Bai still smiled gently. "I just got a bargain, and it's all thanks to the city lord." Shu Bai can say that the only thing Shu Bai wanted was to stand by and do nothing. Shu Bai has never done anything to let the city lord down. If Shu Bai bought this restaurant and made the city lord feel uncomfortable, then Shu Bai can't do anything about it, Shu Bai said as she waved her round fan. Ning Shu smiled indifferently. "What does what you do have to do with whether I feel uncomfortable or not? I won't feel uncomfortable because of a stranger." "All right, have the dishes been served?" Shu Bai pursed her lips and said, "City lord, please wait for a moment. The dishes will be served soon." "City lord," Ning Shu interrupted her. "Shu Bai, you don't rely on just one person, right?" Therefore, she was able to decisively give up on someone who could protect her. Because there were many people protecting her, it didn't matter if there was one more or one less. Shu Bai smiled bitterly. Her body was filled with a dispirited aura. "Those people can abandon me at any time. Why can't I rely on them?" She was just a weak person who sought the protection of these strong people. She had lost her dignity. Weak people didn't have dignity. Ning Shu ate the dishes and ignored Shu Bai's expression. She took a sip of tea and said, "What's there to be unwilling about? You were the one who made the decision. You couldn't bear it and gave up. Today's matter should have happened. If the strong didn't receive the treatment of the strong, would it be fair to the strong who sweated and bled? Shu Bai smiled. Of course, this was my choice. I won't regret any of the choices I made, including what I did to you. I chose to stand by and do nothing because I didn't have the ability to stop or resolve this matter. Even if the city lord hates me now, I won't regret it. Ning Shu shook his head. You are wrong. I don't hate you because you are not enough for me to hate. Shu Bai smiled. Yes, because I am just an ant beside your feet. No one would hate an ant. Who would care about an ant's feelings? Ning Shu put down his chopsticks and asked, How much? Shu Bai said, Just treat it as my treat, City Lord. Ning Shu said, No need. I took 2 million merit points from doting last time and gave them to you. I don't like to owe people things. Shu Bai said, City Lord, are you going to cut ties with me now? Ning Shu said, Can't I? It's best to cut ties with you. Ning Shu returned the 2 million plus merit points to Shu Bai. She smirked and said coldly, I hope that your business will become more and more prosperous. Ning Shu didn't want to listen to what Shu Bai had to say. Maybe there was someone behind Shu Bai, but would those big shots really care about Shu Bai's little merit points? For example, every time she processed a star stone, she would receive merit in just a few minutes. The restaurant's business wasn't very good. It was good enough that it could break even. Ning Shu went to the City of Witches. Since Zhang Jiasen was the city lord of the City of Witches, they might meet there. Zhang Jiasen had been protected by the judges before he was taken away by the grand uncle. If they met in the City of Witches, there would be no one around to protect him. The judges who protected Zhang Jiasen seemed to have been punished. The grand uncle was nowhere to be found. He didn't believe that there would be anyone protecting Zhang Jiasen now. The system said, Are you going to stir up trouble again? The system felt very tired. Wherever it went, it would cause trouble. The main system asked it to take care of this task enforcer. Chapter 3274. But this mission enforcer looked wild and mischievous. He couldn't control her at all. Ning Shu said, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just here to see an old friend. Don't worry. Don't worry? Don't worry my ass. Not at all. It had only been a short time, but it was already making him a little scared. If something really happened, he would face the fate of being formatted. The system said helplessly, Actually, you don't have to be so anxious. Take your time in the future. If you're so anxious, the main system will tighten its watch on you. Although I take orders from the main system, I will stand by your side and make suggestions that are beneficial to you. Ning Shu smiled and said casually, Don't worry, I won't cause trouble. The system didn't believe him at all. He said that he wouldn't cause trouble, but he still got into a fight. Ning Shu said, Someone tried to steal my things, and I was forced to defend myself. I didn't want to cause trouble. The system was helpless. Then what are you doing here? Aren't you here to look for Zhang Jiasen? Before becoming Ning Shu's system, the system already knew enough about this mission enforcer's life story. So, when Ning Shu came to Witch City, the system knew that she was here to look for Zhang Jiasen. She was quite vengeful. She would take revenge for the smallest grievance. Ning Shu laughed and didn't talk to the system anymore. No matter what the system said, it couldn't tie her legs. In the end, it just kept nagging in her ear. Ning Shu obviously knew that the system was reminding her to be careful, but she might not be able to find Zhang Jiasen. After this incident, Zhang Jiasen should have holed himself up and wouldn't appear easily. She was just here to take a stroll. If Zhang Jiasen knew that she was looking for him, he wouldn't appear so easily in the future. He couldn't even appear in his own territory all the time. He was like a thief. He was the mayor of Witch City, but he couldn't appear in the open. How aggrieved and unbearable must he be? Zhang Jiasen must have cultivated his own forces in Witch City. Now that she appeared in Witch City, it wouldn't be long before Zhang Jiasen found out. Zhang Jiasen was disgusting her, and now she was also disgusting Zhang Jiasen. Let's see how long you can hide. Even if you come to Witch City to consolidate the enchantment, you will have to be very careful for fear of being caught. Ning Shu walked towards the city lord's mansion, wondering if Zhang Jiasun would be there. Ning Shu stood in front of the city lord's mansion. The city lord's mansion had an enchantment, and it was connected to the enchantment of the entire Law City. Ning Shu was not the city lord of which city, so naturally, he could not enter the city lord's mansion. The door was not an obstacle, the barrier was. Ning Shu stared at the door. The door creaked open. Zhang Jiasun opened the door and looked into Ning Shu's eyes. Zhang Jiasun closed the door before the two of them could react. Ning Shu hurriedly walked over, but was blocked by the barrier. Ning Shu slapped the barrier and shouted, "If you have the ability to frame people, open the door, open the door." Zhang Jiasun stood in the city lord's mansion and looked at Ning Shu slapping the barrier through the crack of the door. Why was this woman still alive? She had openly challenged the rules of the organization. Why was he still able to appear here now? The judges were really useless. One was one, two were also useless. They couldn't even deal with a woman. Zhang Jiasun opened the door and said, "I've opened the door, but you can't come in. Unless you break the barrier. But if you break the barrier, the enchantment of the Law City will shatter. At that time, the law power outside the city will pour into the city, and the city will be destroyed. Do you dare?" Ning Shu shrugged and shook his head. "I don't dare. But it doesn't matter. I'll stay here until you come out. Don't even think about returning to the system space. Although the city lord's mansion has a barrier, I made another layer of barrier to bind you inside. The surrounding space has been sealed. If I can't get in, don't even think about getting out." Zhang Jiasun laughed in a low voice. In the end, he laughed out loud, as if he couldn't stop. Ning Shu looked at him with an expressionless face and laughed wildly. Finally, Zhang Jiasun stopped laughing and coughed twice. "Should I feel honored that you spent so much time waiting for me? I'm really flattered that you care so much about me." Ning Shu rolled his eyes. In any case, Zhang Jiasun's way of thinking was different from ordinary people. What did he mean by caring about the steps? If he was bitten by an ant, it was fine if he couldn't find the ant, but if he found it, wouldn't it make sense if he didn't hammer the ant to death? Did this mean that she cared? No, no, no. Only Zhang Jiasun could say that she cared. Ning Shu said, "Think whatever you want. Think whatever you want." It didn't matter even if Zhang Jiasun said that she loved him. In any case, Zhang Jiasun's way of thinking was strange. Zhang Jiasun simply sat down on the threshold and looked at Ning Shu. "Aren't you tired of standing? Do you want me to pull a chair for you?" "No need." Ning Shu sat directly on the vine. Zhang Jiasun laughed and looked quite happy. "We seem to have never had the chance to sit face to face like this and have a good talk." Ning Shu said, "I don't want to have a good talk with you. There's nothing to talk about. If it wasn't for the ward, I would have already hammered you to death." Zhang Jiasun said, "Even if you say that, I'm very happy that you want to spend time on me." Ning Shu tilted his head. "You really lack love." He craved love and despised it. Meow 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 loved him so much back then, but he didn't care. When others were disdainful of him, he was eager to please them. Zhang Jiasun thought for a while. "I do lack love. As the male child that the family used all their resources to cultivate, his parents, sisters and brothers all pinned their hopes on him. They constantly reminded him that he was the hope of the family and that whether the family could live a good life depended on him. All the eyes of the family were focused on him, and the neglected children looked at him with envy, jealousy and helplessness." Zhang Jiasun looked at Ning Shu. "Yes, I lack love." She gave him a huge responsibility, and all the attention was because of this responsibility. Ning Shu said, "What does your lack of love have to do with me?" She wouldn't give Zhang Jiasun love. There were so many people in the world. Could she love them all? She wouldn't use love to change people. She could only cremate them. Zhang Jiasun only chased after what he didn't have. Once he had it, it was like throwing away grass. Zhang Jiasun was already immune to the cold and heartless Ning Shu. Hearing her say this, his gaze didn't change at all. He knew that the woman in front of him would say this. She was cold-hearted and wouldn't give anyone any care or warmth. Chapter 3275. Zhang Jiasun was unwilling to come out. He had been hiding in the city lord's mansion. He seemed to be quite happy. Ning Shu felt that it was a waste of time to guard outside. With this time, he might as well do other things. Doing missions and looking for treasures were more interesting than this. Ning Shu thought about it and opened the world of reincarnation. He summoned a skeleton and asked the skeleton to guard for him. If Zhang Jiasun had the ability, he would stay inside for the rest of his life. Ning Shu put a layer of enchantment on the skeleton so that others could not see its appearance. However, once Zhang Jiasun came out, the skeleton would immediately inform her and she would be able to rush over. She had a skeleton under her command. Why not use it? With someone guarding for her, she could do other things. Ning Shu glanced at Zhang Jiasun and said to the skeleton, "Keep an eye on him. If anything happens, report to me immediately. I will rush over soon." The skeleton said, "Okay." It was too easy to just keep an eye on one person. Ning Shu said again, "By the way, we are already here. This is a city of laws. Try to see if you can comprehend the power of laws." The skeleton walked the path of violence. It strengthened its own strength and consolidated its defense. It did not seem to have any power of laws. If these skeletons could comprehend the power of laws, they might be able to reach a higher level. A strong defensive ability could be given by merit. As long as there was enough merit and it could be absorbed, one's bones could become very strong. However, comprehending the power of laws required comprehension. He did not know if there were any skeletons that could comprehend merit. The skeleton obviously did not know what the power of laws was. However, Ning Shu said that the skeleton would try its best to comprehend it. Ning Shu said to Zhang Jiasun, "Then you can stay inside. I have locked the surrounding space. If you don't do missions, you will be unlucky." If she could not even deal with these small fries, what was the point of her? As for attacking the giant gate planet, it was to lure the people of that faction to attack her again. Only then could she disturb that faction. When she attacked the giant gate planet, she was slapping the face of that faction. It would be strange if those people could tolerate it. Her attitude made it clear that she would not let this matter rest. Since the innate fetal treasure was in her hands, those people would not let him go either. He wanted to test the power of the whip and let his intentions be known. So far, she hadn't met many people from that faction, only two, young Master Ronghua and Great Gate Star. As for Zhang Jiasun, he was just a small character in this game. He probably wasn't a member of that faction. Even if they were from that faction, they would probably be peripheral figures who could be abandoned at any time. They couldn't be considered core figures. Therefore, there were some things that had to be stirred up. They had to beat the grass and alert the snake. If this faction came to save Zhang Jiasun, then it meant that Zhang Jiasun was a member of this faction. Since they were willing to waste time and manpower to save Zhang Jiasun, it meant that Zhang Jiasun was still useful in this faction. When Zhang Jiasun saw the skeleton, he looked quite shocked. He had never seen such a skeleton before. After all, he had never been on the battlefield before, and he had never seen an abyssal prefect's skeleton before. Thus, he stared at the golden skeleton in amazement. Zhang Jiasun was the city lord of the City of Witches and had already come into contact with merit. When he saw the skeleton shining with golden light, he was even more surprised. These skeletons were actually made of merit? Hearing Ning Shu's words, Zhang Jiasun was a little speechless. If it was Ning Shu who was guarding him, he would be quite happy. However, it was such a skeleton guarding him, which made him unhappy. It was Ning Shu who had been accompanying him. He didn't care. He was more than happy that she was willing to waste time with him. However, Zhang Jiasun felt that it was wrong to use a skeleton as a substitute. If he was trapped here, he wouldn't be able to complete the mission. The mission had a number and time limit. If he couldn't meet the requirements, he might be obliterated. The organization had always been merciless. However, if they were merciless, they would keep the people who challenged the organization's bottom line alive. Zhang Jiasun looked at Ning Shu. Why was she still alive? Zhang Jiasun couldn't understand. She was the one who was causing trouble. He was innocent, a kind and ordinary mission enforcer who was being bullied. However, she used her strength to bully the weak and challenged the rule of not fighting in the City of Laws. She still lived until now. He was trapped in the city lord's mansion and couldn't get out. If she was the one who blocked him, he could still look at her and feel a little better. However, she used a skeleton as a substitute. She wasn't even willing to waste this little bit of time on him. In her heart, he was a worthless person. Zhang Jiasun looked at Ning Shu, his eyes a little blank. He asked, "Why aren't you dead yet? Why did she challenge the rules?" If he showed up in that situation, there was an 80% chance that she would die under the organization's rules. Ning Shu, I'm not telling you. You'll be pissed to death. Ning Shu wanted to see if anyone would come to save him. Ning Shu, by the way, the space here has been sealed. You can't send a message out, and you can't return to the system space unless you walk out of the city lord's mansion. Zhang Jiasun laughed. He sneered and said, "It seems that I don't know the organization very well, which led to this mistake." Yes, he should. In fact, for the organization, there were only two standards to measure people: useless and useful. The standards for useful people were different, and the useless people were judged according to the rules. It wasn't that complicated. Ning Shu ignored Zhang Jiasun and asked the skeleton to comprehend the law. It would be best if it could comprehend it, but if it couldn't, he wouldn't force it. After all, the skeleton took the violent route and directly used its hard body to smash the opponent. Ning Shu left the City of Witches and returned to the system space, throwing the star stones he collected this time into the ultimate martial arts. Now, inside the ultimate martial arts was a vast ocean. There was no land, no mountains, and no clouds. Previously, it seemed to have slowly evolved into land. Right now, it was a boundless ocean. Ning Shu didn't know if it was an illusion, but she felt that the law of nothingness had changed again, and it was bigger than before. Perhaps it was because she had thrown an energy body into it before, which allowed the law of nothingness to gain more energy and become bigger. It felt like she was helping the enemy. If the energy body didn't have energy fluctuations, Ning Shu wouldn't have thrown it here. Unexpectedly, the energy body given by Li Wen was taken away by someone else before it could warm up. Now that she thought about it, it was quite distressing. After all, it was something that the organization had spent so much manpower and resources to obtain. She just threw it away, and it was to the law of nothingness that was a threat to her life. However, the law of nothingness was calm. Nothing happened, and the law of nothingness didn't riot. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.